Good evening and welcome to the Whitestone Council meeting of Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. All council members are here. Councillor Nash, Councillor Bray, and Councillor Woods, and myself, Deputy Mayor Lamb. Our Mayor Comrie is joining us by Zoom, so all members of council are here and present. So with that, I will ask to play the national anthem and to stand if you can. Thank you.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, a true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you. I'll now read the Indigenous Land Acknowledgement Statement. The municipality of Whitestone resides or recognizes all of Canada resides on traditional, unceded, and/or treaty lands of the Indigenous people of Turtle Island. We recognize our municipality on the Robinson Huron Treaty Territory is home to many past, present, and future Indigenous families. This acknowledgement of the land is a declaration of our commitment and collective responsibility to reconcile the past and to honor and value the culture, history, and relationships we have with one another. I now ask if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest by council. Councillor Nash.
Through you, Councillor. Yeah, I'd like to declare an interest in regards to line item 5.1.4, which is the draft 2023 operating and capital budget. And in particular, it's item 16-440-4 road grants.
Okay, thank you. Any other? Being none, that's so noted. I'd like a motion to approve the agenda as follows. Whereas the members of council have been presented with an agenda for this meeting, be it resolved that the agenda for the meeting be adopted as presented. I need a mover, Councillor Woods, a seconder, Councillor Bray. This will be any discussion on the agenda, first of all? There being none, all votes when we have someone on Zoom, council member on Zoom, have to be a recorded vote. So our CAO, Michelle, will be conducting each recorded vote. So I'll pass it over to her for a vote on this.
Thank you. Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We do have a presentation and delegation tonight. We have Jacob Hanlon, who's with the Food Cycle Sciences Municipal Food Waste. Is Jacob on the line with us here?
Yes. Hello, I'm here.
Okay, Jacob, the floor is yours. I think you have up to 10 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. If I could just request the opportunity to share my own screen if possible. If not, we can go through the slides that are already on the screen there.
Jacob, was there an updated presentation?
No, but it flows a little bit better if I'm cycling through mine, but I'm happy to just request next slide as I go through
Oh,
it
I
if
see.
wanna have
You,
control.
you'd like to control the slides? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay,
if
I can do
possible.
that. One moment. I'll stop share and then I'll give you the ability to share a screen.
Thank you very much.
Where are you located, Jacob?
I am not too far from you. I'm over here in Ottawa.
Okay, that's a relative term. Ottawa's a little way up.
Okay, you should be able to share a screen.
Thank
Okay,
you. Go
perfect.
ahead.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I have that up now. I'll just, I want to start by saying good evening, Mayor and councillors and members of staff. Thank you very much for having me on. My name is Jacob Hanlon and I'm the Municipal Program Coordinator at Food Cycle Science. And I'm here to discuss a exciting food waste program opportunity for the municipality of Whitestone. I'm going to go over a lot of information in a short amount of time here, so I just ask that you stick with me and I'll be happy to answer any questions at the end of the presentation. So briefly speak about who we are. Food Cycle Science is a Canadian company and we're up here in Ottawa, and we're 100% focused on food waste diversion solutions. We do this using our innovative technology called the Food Cycler, which is a in-home food recycler, which is sold direct to consumers through partnerships with companies like Vitamix, put into schools and across school boards through EcoSchools Canada. And then the reason that I'm here is we partner with municipalities to implement our machines as a in-home organic waste diversion program. So our municipal solutions help many small, rural, remote, and northern communities keep food waste out of their landfills. We're currently working with 81 Canadian municipalities across 6 provinces and territories, from BC up to Northwest Territories, and then many communities here in Ontario who often face struggles with food waste management or where the curbside green bin program isn't an option for them. Nearby to Whitestone, we have a successful program running in Parry Sound, just to provide a bit of context there for someone close by to you. So to quickly get into the issue here, so the problem with food waste is that it is avoidable. It accounts for a large portion of our household waste. Often it can be up to a majority sometimes. And it's made up of mostly liquid, which is heavy and freezes in the wintertime. So on top of that, when you put food waste in the landfill, it's responsible for generating some harmful greenhouse gases. And all these factors make it so that food waste is a problem that has a strong municipal impact. So one of the impacts to municipalities is that since food waste makes up such a large portion of our waste stream, it is causing landfills to fill up quickly, and operating a landfill is obviously quite costly for a municipality. So we want to extend the lifespan of our landfills for as long as we can. And then an environmental impact is when you put organic waste in the landfill, it's in an anaerobic environment where it's compressed and squished between tons and tons of waste. So when it's breaking down in that process, it releases methane gas, which is many times more harmful than CO2. And to put that into perspective, taking 1 ton of food waste out of the waste stream is the equivalent to taking a car off the road for an entire year. In our communities, putting food waste in the garbage causes odors, which is unpleasant for humans, of course, but interesting for animals like bears and raccoons who like to go through our trash. So removing food waste from the garbage eliminates these issues and it reduces the overall volume of waste. So this can save the municipality on hauling and disposal fees, save space in the landfill, and it can save residents on some hassle and any extra waste fees that they might face. So we often get asked the question, haven't we solved this already? And there are green bins, which are common in big cities with high population densities and the right infrastructure. However, this can be cost prohibitive or operationally challenging to implement. Many people in your community may backyard compost, and while we do think this is a great solution, unfortunately, it's not feasible for everyone. It's certainly not a year-round solution, and there's still the concern about bears and other animals being attracted to that backyard bin. And then finally, the easiest solution is to continue to landfill organic waste, but the long-term impacts here are costly and harmful to the environment. So at Food Cycler, we proposed a different way to deal with our food waste, and this really focuses on making it easy to deal with and right in our homes. So we've essentially built a small kitchen appliance. It's about the size of a bread machine, and you put in your food waste, and this can include your typical fruit and vegetable scraps, but also things like meat, poultry, fish, dairy, even some small bones. And then you push a button, and in a matter of hours, what you get is a dry, sterile, odorless, but nutrient-rich soil amendment that comes out. The machine can be used anywhere that has a plug, and most people store it in their kitchen or their basement or even in a heated garage. And on average, the food cycler will process between 1 and 3 kilograms of food waste per cycle, with each cycle taking under 8 hours to complete. It uses about 1 to 1.5 kilowatt hours of power per cycle, so similar to having a computer plugged in for the same amount of time. And then your result is a handful of dry, sterile, and odorless soil amendment that can be used in your garden and an existing composting system, can be given to a local farm, or even donated at a community garden. So we currently have 2 solutions that can be used by residents within our municipal programs. Both machines are similar in size, but the one on the left there on the screen has a 2.5 liter capacity, while the one on the right has a 5 liter capacity. Ultimately, we leave it up to the resident within the program to choose which machine best suits their household or their daily and weekly food waste. And we find that it's typically larger families or family households of 3 or more who pick the larger machine, but we ultimately leave it up to them. And then I'll just emphasize here that in the cycle that takes less than 8 hours, there's a 90% reduction in the weight and the volume of food waste. And then the end product is actually something that people can use right in their properties and in their gardens. And I touched on these beneficial uses here for the byproduct while that video was playing there, but just to reemphasize this, it is a nutrient-rich byproduct. So people who put it into their garden soil, or if it goes to a local farm or a community garden, it is helping and adding to the soil health and helping with plant growth. Now, from an environmental standpoint, the food cycler is a net negative carbon solution. And what this means is that just like planting trees or using solar panels, when you use the food cycler to avoid bringing food waste to a landfill, you're avoiding more greenhouse gases in the process than you're creating. And the same can't be said about curbside collection processes, waste and recycling collection services that rely on a large fleet of emitting vehicles. Now, one thing we've learned from working with our municipal partners is that residents are quite interested in being part of the solution. They want to try new things, they want options, and they want the government to bring these things into their communities. So with the food cycler, you get to bring something that's innovative and tangible to your residents. They don't need to live in a big city to be able to divert their organics. And we believe that food waste diversion should be available to all Canadians, regardless of where they live. And with the food cycler, we're really focusing on reducing waste right at the source in that household level. So since food waste accounts for such a large portion of household waste, taking it out of that waste stream is the single most impactful strategy to really reducing the volume of waste in your waste stream and achieving any kind of diversion targets that you might have. So I mentioned earlier that we're working with several municipalities across Canada. To date, we've completed pilot programs in over 40 municipalities and over 5,000 households. We found that the results have been overwhelmingly positive. We're able to achieve a significant amount of net new waste diversion. We have a generous user experience rating of 4.6 out of 5 stars and a 98% participation rate from residents within the programs. Many municipalities have expanded their programs to more households within their community upon completion of their initial pilot program. In Nelson, British Columbia, for example, after completing 2 successful pilot programs, they're putting a food cycler in every home in their city of about 11,000 people. Now, last summer, Food Cycler was selected as a finalist in Impact Canada's Food Waste Reduction Challenge, which is a 3-part initiative from Agri-Food and Agriculture Canada with the goal of reducing Canada's food waste. So as a finalist, we were awarded with $400,000 to go towards these municipal programs and find more implementation partners. So we're using this funding to invest directly into these pilot programs at a heavily subsidized price. And these pilots are helping us move into the final stage where there is the chance to receive a $1.5 million grand prize. And any future funding that's received will be continued to be used and invested into these programs for Canadians and any municipalities that partner with us will have the right of first refusal on any subsequent funding. So just a couple more slides here as I go through what the pilot program actually looks like. It's a 12-week project. Residents purchase a food cycler at the subsidized rate from their municipality. They use the unit and track the number of cycles per week. And then at the end of those 12 weeks, residents keep their machine and we ask them to complete a brief survey so that we can evaluate the program's success. We then present the results back to you in a final report or a feasibility study. And then you can use this data to support your future waste management decision-making or to accompany a recommendation for an expansion of the program. This is the funding structure for the program. So the funded pilots work based on the subsidy model where Food Cycle Science provides an initial discount, and then we add in that federal investment from the Food Waste Challenge. And this gets the price of each unit reduced by 50% compared to the retail price. And then we ask that the municipality subsidizes the cost by $100 per household, regardless of which machine the resident chooses. And then participating residents will choose which model best suits their household and contribute that remaining amount. And then at the end of the 12-week program, the residents get to keep their food cyclers. And these are just some pilot size recommendations here before I wrap up. So this is just based on our experience. We recommend that for a municipality of your size, the 50 household pilot to start would be a good starting point, and then we can collect some data from there and present the results back to you and see if an expansion would be something that would benefit the municipality. Since the cost is $100 per household, the municipal investment for 50 households would be $5,000 plus shipping and HST. And these are just recommendations. We're happy to tailor the program to fit your needs and to fit your budget as well. And last slide here, these are just some reasons that may resonate with you as you consider if you should pilot with us. So the first is that you get an opportunity to trial a food waste diversion solution and an innovative technology at a cost that's well below market rates, and through a convenient procurement platform with Canoe Procurement. You'll see immediate and impactful benefits such as waste diversion, lower disposal costs, and reduced greenhouse gas emissions. And then lastly, you can provide your constituents with a low-cost municipal service, all the while being steward for the environment. So with all that said, I'd like to welcome the municipality of Whitestone as a partner in this Food Waste Challenge, as we believe that your community would be a great fit for the benefits of the program. Today, I just ask that you kindly receive the presentation as information, and if there's any interest in partnering with us on a funded pilot program, then I ask that you refer this to a staff member to work with us to bring a report and a recommendation back to council. So with that being said, thank you very much for allowing me to present to you tonight. I appreciate your attention and time, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have now.
Thank you, Jacob. Any questions of council or council members? Okay, Mayor Comrie, any questions? Okay, well, thank you very much, Jacob. We'll take a look at what you've presented. I have a question. Your organization, is it a nonprofit, or are you, or what kind of organization? You know, you part, like, what kind of organization are you?
So we are
you
a private company. Yeah, that's correct. But through this program, we've been able to access federal funding to go towards this. So we are a private company, but through this challenge, we've been able to incorporate federal funding into this, which is, I would say, unique for a private company.
Yeah, not to take away from what you do, because I think it's an important thing, but are you for profit? Is your company for profit?
Yes, we are a for-profit company.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that so you access government grants or you get monies because you're good at what you do. And but indeed, I guess my other question is, we're a small community and you're asking us to do, I guess, have 50 households. What happens if we only had 15? Does that mean the program doesn't go forward, or what? I mean, do we have to hit that threshold of 50 or nothing?
Yeah, I appreciate the question in the comments. So our minimum pilot size is 50 households, but one thing that we've been doing with municipalities, especially with some of the smaller ones who aren't sure if they would hit that threshold, is we can work with you to provide some information and photos and documents and things like that to set up kind of a pre-registration, which is something that we can help administer, where we just put out the info and the material to your residents and allow them to kind of pre-register for it or show that they're interested. And that's a way where we can determine the resident interest prior to actually having any approvals or any commitments or things like that. If you have only 15 people and it doesn't seem like it would be a good fit in your municipality, we would say that's fair and we can go our separate ways. But we do find that having that opportunity to gauge resident interest prior can just help with determining if it is something that your residents are interested in.
Okay, my final question is, if you didn't have the municipal subsidy, our budget is obviously tight. We're into May, you know, maybe next year, but this year you're coming to us in May, right? Not in January. So
Yeah.
if we didn't have the municipal subsidy and just put it out to people that, you know, one of these units is 250 or 400 or whatever, you know, without the subsidy from the municipality, would that still be a go with you or no?
Unfortunately, for us to put in the federal subsidy, we need the municipal subsidy as well. So yeah, so unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to administer that federal subsidy as well. So it wouldn't just be the 250 or the 400, it would be a higher price from there.
Okay,
So with that being said, this is a program that it's been around for a few years now and it's not going anywhere. We're continually trying to improve it and innovate. And if it's something that is interesting for you to pursue potentially in 2024, it's a conversation that we can revisit as well. Oh, I think you're muted over there on your end. I cannot hear you if you're speaking right now. I believe either your end is muted. On my Zoom screen here, I'm seeing that that both yourself and Michelle are muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay, great, thank you. I just had one final question, and that was whether if we ever did want to pilot or show this to our community, do you have demo food cyclers that we could show people?
Yes, absolutely. So I can connect with one of your staff members and get the shipping address and everything, and we can send you over a demo unit for council to test out and to show the community as well. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
anything else? Okay, thank you, Jacob. I do have a motion on this, 4.1 Food Cycle Sciences Municipal Food Waste, that the Council of the Municipality of Whitestone receives the presentation from Jacob Hanlon, Food Cycle Sciences Municipal Food Waste Information, and thanks Mr. Hanlon for his presentation. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Bray and Councillor Woods will second. And I'll ask our CAO to call the vote, please.
Thank you, Councillor Bray.
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods, Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you very much. I now we want to move into the committee of the whole to deal with some planning items and I think the budget also. So I will ask a mover and seconder for the following, that the Council of the Municipality of Whitestone move into the committee of the whole at 6:55 p.m. Need a mover and seconder. Councillor
I'll move,
Nash.
Mr. Chair.
Hello. Oh, I'm sorry. Counselor Nash will make the motion, and Mayor Comrie, are you seconding it? Okay,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie, thank you. And I'll ask our deputy or I'll ask Michelle to call the roll. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Bray,
Yes,
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Counselor Nash,
Yes.
Counselor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes,
Thank you. That motion carries.
thank you. So now we're into our planning items. The first item is 5.1.1, an application to purchase and close the Shore Road allowance for Croucher. And there's a memorandum from our planner, John Jackson. I think Mr. Jackson is on the call, so I'll pass it over to you, John.
Thank you, Council. The Croucher application actually is very straightforward. They have no constraints, as this waterway has not been artificially elevated, but prior to or after the actual regulation of the high water mark. So the full 66 feet is available. The Crown are the owners on either side of the straight line extension. So I would classify this as a pretty straightforward, simple shore road allowance application. Unless there are questions.
Okay, questions from council? Counselor Nash?
Yeah, through you, Deputy Mayor, if I might. Thanks, John. I have a couple quick questions. The first one is, I think, a very, very
Excuse me,
easy.
can everyone hear Counselor Nash? It's coming through to everyone? Okay.
He's a little bit faint.
Speak into the mic.
There we go.
Counselor Nash.
Hopefully you
Thank
can hear me better now, John.
Yep.
I noticed on the diagram on page 5 of your report, there's a red circle. And if I look at the legend, it says abandoned mines. I'm just wondering, is that red circle there because there's an abandoned mine a few properties over? It doesn't relate to this property. I'm just curious.
Yeah, it just shows up on one of the resource data maps we have. We obtained that information from the Ministry of Northern Mines and Development, who sent us their records of the location of mines that had either been active, abandoned, or could still be active.
All right, and I did not know that. Interesting. So I guess a couple questions on this one. And it's going to come down to the fish habitat. And I know, I'll call it on the east and the west, or the right and the left of the applicant's property is the Magnetawan Provincial Park. And I just want to make sure we as a municipality are doing our due diligence when we make sure we're selling up the Shore Road allowance, which I'd support to sell it. But I just didn't know if we should ask an applicant to do a fish study just to make sure there is no type 1 fish habitat fronting there. And the second question to that is, I noticed in our package that the applicant's application wasn't included. And my question is, I know as part of the Shore Road allowance, it says that the applicants must obtain preliminary consent from the abutting landowners, and it makes a note that if the abutting land on one or both sides is owned by the Crown, the applicant must contact the ministry to obtain written consent. And it says that has to be done before it goes forward. And I understand that once something's passed, they then need to go back with the certification of confirmation. So I'm just wondering if we have those preliminary consents that it says that they have to do in order for us to approve this.
I'm not certain what the internal administrative checklist is, but we can confirm that that will be done. I suspect that because it's a straight line extension, that there are not likely to be any issues with respect to the location of these lines, as you might when there are other property owners involved, but we can follow that up. My only concern in terms of experience is that you may never find somebody to respond to your question, but we can certainly make that attempt. It's not legislated that you obtain that kind of consent, but it's good practice, obviously. So we'll certainly, between Paul and Michelle and I, put that on our checklist.
Okay, no, thanks, John. Yeah, I just had a copy of the policy. And it read, the shore road allowance application will be reviewed by staff, and if the application is not complete, the applicant will be advised as to what information is missing in order to finalize the application. And then right at that point, it says the applicant must obtain preliminary consent. So if that can just be looked at. And in regards to the type 1 fish habitat, is that something that we should have done or be requested to have done, since it's fronting on a park on either side? And just
No.
make sure what we're selling is.
I would say no, because we look at the data with respect to the fish habitat typing, which is good data. M&R did a good job. So, I mean, sometimes there's the odd error, but that's from a broad, high level approach to collect that data. So we do look at the physical conditions through various air photography, and there was no indication, as the mapping confirmed, that would be considered a type 1 or a critical fish habitat. So it would not be necessary to carry that out on this property.
Thanks, John.
Any other questions? I just have one that which applies to all shore road allowances. What's, and someone can get back to council, what's the formula? I mean, for people to buy, I don't know how many feet are involved on this shore, but is it a per fit or per foot amount that's paid on every lake, and they're all the same, or do we, you know, again?
It's I think it's an area rate, your worship, through view of the
Total property.
so it's based on the amount of square meters of land. I don't know that number. It's either $1 a square meter or something like that, because a lot of times we don't sell shore road allowances that are below the controlled high water mark, or we don't sell shore road allowances that are part of a type 1 fish habitat. So it varies. The amount of meters of shoreline is fairly assessed based on the amount of actual square meterage that's going to be purchased.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether something like this would bring to the municipality, you know, $2,000 or $10,000. My guess is it would look more like 2 than 10, but
Yeah, it's quite, it adds up. I would say it all goes, usually I think it goes into the recreational fund part of the budget. I think Whitestone, when it set the rate, set it as a fair valuation. Some municipalities, and we're dealing with a lot more expensive properties, for example, on Lake Muskoka or Lake Ross or Joe, you could expect that this road allowance would be probably in the order of $60,000 to $70,000, the fee for the purchase of it.
for the purchase of this road allowance?
Yep. Now, you contrast that
In
with
another municipality.
other municipalities, give it away. They don't charge a dime other than the administrative fees. So
But our
Just-
fee is what? Competitive? Well, Paula Mockery is here, so. maybe-
she would know.
Yeah. just-
You'll need a microphone.
We just seem to have more and more of them coming up that, yeah, yes, Paula.
So I believe it's $1 for the first 90 per meter and then $2 after
Square meters of total property.
for
Okay,
the first 90.
okay. Okay, thank you.
And if I may, Deputy Mayor, just to follow up on that, when the survey is actually done, if it hasn't been done, in this case, I think it has this survey been done? Yes. Sometimes you don't know those square meters until the survey is complete.
Yeah, maybe staff can just let us know in a separate email what the cost of this is when they do purchase it, or if they are going to purchase it. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you. We'll move now on to 5.1.2, application to purchase and close shore road allowance for Buzz and Hart. And again, I will pass this over to John for comment. This is, I think, on Wawashket, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, this is in the North Basin, just north of Bennett's Bay. They actually have done the survey of this property as well, which normally doesn't happen until after this initial meeting or consideration by council, but it has been pre-surveyed to take out all the lands that are flooded, and coincidentally, there were two little embayments that were identified as fish habitat, but because they are also coincidentally identified as not being part of the application lands to be acquired, it didn't seem to be problematic to bring this forward and endorse it in principle. This one has a little bit more complication to it because the Booz and Harts a number of years ago created 3 new lots in total on the peninsula. I think I identified them as ABC, and there is going to have to be a little bit of a I'm going to call it a number of applications and transactions to have the shore road allowances merge with what are otherwise pre-approved severed lots. So these people will have to go through a process to decertify those consents, because if they didn't, you could sell the lots behind the shore road allowance separately because they were approved by the planning board. So we have to decertify those. They need to also put the middle lot, lot B, I think identified it, into a separate name, so that when they decertify them, they don't inadvertently merge, because they all are in the name of the husband and wife's name. So for example, the middle lot would perhaps go into the wife's name, and that effectively avoids this inadvertent merger. It used to be referred to as checkerboarding, so that when the municipality passes on the portions of the shore road lands that are sold, they would merge in title, and that's, it's going to be a bit of a song and dance that we have to do. But I've talked to the Booz and Harts, who are from Colorado, and they've got it figured out, and they know they have these sort of additional hoops to go through to follow I think their intentions as well, which is to have the properties all considered whole with the adjacent shore road allowance. Actually, I think probably Mayor Comrie probably knows this better than anyone, because I think he had to do this on Red Gate Lane.
He's nodding, so.
Well, I remember his first introduction to Planning 101, which might have been 20 years ago. He couldn't believe all the hoops that he had to go through. So.
That's correct.
Was there not type 1 fish habitat associated with this?
There are 2 little embayments, and they're from the regulated water level. So if you look at the zoning map, they're identified, and I think I also provided the MNR type mapping, but coincidentally, those are parts of the shore road allowance that are also not being tendered for sale because they are flooded, and we don't sell flooded land. So it is by good, perhaps fortune rather than good management, but the critical habitat, if it truly is, because if I look at the air photo, there's not a lot of indication that there's aquatics of any significance in there, but they're not acquiring it anyway. I think they're really settling the land up for their children. so it's properly in place for their estate.
Okay, any other comments, John?
No, I think that's it, unless there's questions.
Okay, questions of council? Counselor Nash?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. John, just a couple questions. I'm looking at
Right into the mic.
a map that was provided to us, and there's some blue coloring on it, I think, which is showing the flooded areas.
Correct.
And if I look at, I'm trying to look at this with my glasses, if I look at part 2, does part 2 on the survey not go through the flooded land? So I'm guessing they'd have to get the survey updated and the part numbers would change. Am I correct on that?
Just gonna be sure. Is part 2 one of the blue areas, Scott?
It's just, part 2 is just above the blue area, but I think the shore road, like part 2 goes through the blue area. That makes sense. I can see part 1 and then part 2.
Where are we?
I don't know if I can help. Do you have a full-size copy, John, readily available?
I think my copy is quite. It's actually quite reduced, so.
Can you
But
look
the
at-
blue areas I
Mhm.
colored were the flooded areas, which coincidentally include or exclude the fish habitat areas as well.
Yeah, okay, no, I think it's just when it's being completed, it looks like to me, part 2, which is at the very top right corner of the drawing, that travels along and right through the flooded area. So I think they might just need to renumber it. It's probably just that they need.
Oh, yeah, yes, I would agree with you.
Right, that's where I was talking. I think it's the same for part 16. But then I'll get to my other question. It's the same question I asked before, I guess. I think this fronts on Crown land on one side and private property on the others. And I just want to make sure that they would have the preliminary consent completed, but I'm guessing that might not have been done as of yet. So I think we just need to make sure that's done.
Again, that's usually done by staff, and we'll just cycle back on that because that's part of the application form as well.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Well, Mr. Chair, I was just going to comment. I don't believe there's any crown land there. I think the adjacent land actually belongs to people on the one side, on the north side, over which is looking at the diagram with colors, the A part, there's nothing there. Okay. It's just water, right? But if you go to the right off the color diagram over beyond where it shows the letter C, that's not crown land to my knowledge. That belongs to people.
That's my understanding as well.
So I suppose it begs the question then, were those people notified? And it's not.
Paula, do you have any comment on that?
Paula, you manage the applications. Can you comment on whether these folks were notified?
Sorry about that. I will get back to council about that.
So it could be that they were not notified. Maybe, or maybe. not.
Maybe not, correct.
Okay, so perhaps when we come out, would we not be safe, John, to perhaps consider deferring this till we get that answer? And if they haven't been notified, I guess the question is, do we have to notify them by the Planning Act and all that kind of stuff? And if we did,
No,
we
this
should,
is
right?
not a legislative requirement. It's a procedural requirement by the municipality when it's set up its general rules, it indicated that it wanted to see consent of neighbors, but you do not have to do that. But as I said, in
But our
encroachers,
policy is to do it and has.
that's
been.
right. I'm saying that's good practice.
Okay.
I-
well,
I
we
don't
can
see a
deal with this
problem.
when it comes out, but again, I think we should possibly at least consider some sort of deferral in this case until we can check that out, but
Yeah, I don't think they're in a huge hurry. As I say, I spoke to them directly and they're very knowledgeable people. They might even be lawyers in the United States.
okay, thank you. Any other questions? Oh, Counselor Nash?
Just following up on that through you, Deputy Mayor. I was looking at page 24 of 125 or page 5. And I think that's where, to me, it looks like on one side we have private property and on the other side it's shown in the light green, which would be Crown, but that can be confirmed. But this is a question. I'm just more curious than anything, John. When they did the survey on the high water mark for the shore allowance, what high water mark do they use? Do they use the height of the dam currently now? Like, do we have a procedure in place that says this is the elevation we should use? I know there's flooding on the lake all the time. I'm just wondering, what elevation has the surveyor used for us to say that, yes, this is what we as a municipality would say is above the normal high water mark? You know, if we're using like the top
It
of the
looks,
dam, or we're using the spring freshet level, or?
it looks like it's a number that LU Mon established and uses in all of its surveys. So there are benchmarks on the plan, and it looks like the elevation that I'm reading, although the font is quite small, is 226.12.
Yeah, it's really small. I think that's what I'm reading too in the legend. It said original water edge 223. I just wondering what elevation they use.
Yeah, and I actually ran into Mr. Hawkins and asked him, and he said that there wouldn't be, he would never do any survey work on any property on Wawashkash without putting a benchmark on it because of that fact. So this was one of Bob's original jobs.
And I'd be right in saying, I believe the 226 is above the height of the top of the dam, correct? I think the dam is 224, 225, right?
Yes.
Good, thanks.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, we'll now move on to 5.1.3. The consent application beat 10/2023 in brackets W, Pasago, Perry Sound. And John, I'll pass this one off to you for comment, please.
This application involves a water access property on the south shore of Dubois Lake that has interestingly on its deed identifies a registered right-of-way as part of the deed. But on the campground side, I don't know what it's called. They used to call it Lazy Acres. I'm not sure. It was maybe Evergreen, but the campground on the north side, which would be where the access landing is, did not include subject to a right-of-way to the property on the south shore. So one of the owners affected, a fellow named Fisher, got a hold of the campground, and the campground has agreed to allow him to put the recognition of the registered right-of-way on their lands as it is on the water access side, the south side of the lake for his property. So it's technically sort of sealing the deal that's more or less there. At one point, Mr. Fisher was going to have his neighbor join him in this exercise, but apparently he did not enjoy this together with a right-of-way recognition on his land. So he has to do something separately. And rather than get it muddied up, we're just going to have the straightforward, Mr. Fisher is going to get a right-of-way from the campground on the road access side to sort of complete the cycle here. So it's more or less just a very technical approval.
Okay, any questions from council? Councilor Nash? No?
I actually had a really quick one, John, but I think you might have answered it. I guess my question is, when I read this, it says that there's a right of way already on one of the benefiting lots. And I know tonight we're only speaking to one of the benefiting lots, am I correct?
Yes.
So why would it need to come to the planning board and to the municipality? Could it not be something that was just corrected at a land title office like the Perry Sound office or land registry office if it's on one of the deeds already? I'm just more curious. It seems like a lot of paperwork if it's just a clerical error.
We tended to agree with that question because he has it on his own parcel, which describes his lot the way it is, together with the right of way on the mainland side, if I can call it that. But some lawyers, and I'll say more than half, will agree that the actual access arrangement is not perfected unless it's on both sides. That is, unless the benefiting property and the they actually call it the servient property have recognized it on their respective deeds. So the majority of lawyers agree that this is a corrective measure that needs to be done. And he just wanted to do it. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. He just wanted to do it.
Okay, thank you.
So John, Councilor Lamb, I know Jeff Fisher has a right on the lake to put a dock and park in the area on the lake. Does James McKean have that on his deed or not?
I think he has an unregistered agreement with the campground operator. So it would expire.
No, I know, but I'm talking about not with the campground. I'm talking about on the lake. You say both their deeds, both Fisher and McKean have it registered or referenced in their deed that they have parking and are able to put a dock out on the lake, right, on Dubois Lake. But someone told me that Mr. Fisher did have, but Mr. McKean didn't. So I don't know that it means a whole lot when it comes to the trailer park. But I guess my question is, were you able to check out whether Mr. McKean has that right on the lake?
Yes, we were, and it starts to get a little bit bigger, a snowball as you get into as you go down the hill. But Mr. McKean's actual access is registered, but it's not functional. By that I mean it's not in a location where it serves his purpose. So one of the neighboring property owners discovered that, well, you can correct Mr. Fisher's deficiency. He doesn't think that this application should include Mr. McKean because it's not a technical correction of an omission. So rather than, as I said, muddy the waters, we just took Mr. McKean off, and he'll have to decide how he wants to handle his problems at some other point, if he does need to solve them.
I guess my question would be, does Mr. McKean know this?
Oh,
I
yes.
expect, not our business, but I expect behind the scenes, there's money exchanging hands between I'm guessing, between the trailer park and these individuals. And if Mr. McKean went in on the basis that once he fixes a right of way through the park, he's able to park and do his thing over in this other area, and that isn't true, I wonder if he even wants to go, if he even wants to continue to go through with this, or whether it's just Mr. Fisher. That makes
Yes, and
sense?
we've talked to Mr. Fisher many times. We talked to Mr. McKean, and also the neighbor who has revealed the information that McKean doesn't have this right of way missing. It's not there, period. So he's got no registered rights on his own property, nor does he have it on the mainland side. Does he need to correct it? I would think at some point he would. But Mr. Fisher's carrying the fees here as an agent for the campground, and he's talked to all the neighbors, and he just wants to get done what he's started in the first place, because he's not alone. There are a couple other property owners that have this deficiency, but they didn't want to join in this corrective measure.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on this? Councillor Nash?
Sorry, just to follow up to the conversation that was going on there. If this was approved for, say, the Fishers tonight, and one of the other, you said there are several other people that might not want to do anything right now, but say the other applicant that's been taken off now, once this easement's been created, if I'm correct, it would be very easy for the trailer park to sell that or to put that right of way on somebody else's deed. Really, a lot of the paperwork will be done after the first one's completed because it'll be showing up. Am I correct on that?
No, it would be the same amount of work. It would be a separately evaluated or assessed application. So they'd have to go through the public notice process, have to go through the municipality and the planning boards. So it would be an equivalent amount of work.
Thank you, John.
Okay, if there's no other questions on this, we'll be dealing, by the way, with all these planning matters with resolutions once we come out of the committee of the whole. So the last item in the committee of the whole is the 2023 budget discussions. There's a staff memorandum from Manish Kula. And then we'll discuss the 23 operating and capital budgets. And it's duly noted that when we get to the road grant area that Councillor Nash will probably, I guess, vacate the room and won't form part of that discussion. So anyway, Manish, do you have any comments to add before the discussion? Okay, good. Manish has a bit of a presentation, so that's good. Welcome, Manish, and the floor is yours.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, thank you. 2023 Operating and Capital Special Project Budget Review Overview. Revenue approximately 14.65, 62% decrease from the 2022 budget. A municipal tax rate increase of 6.5 is proposed in the alignment with the CPI of October 2022. Furthermore, there is a proposed overall increase of 4.97 in the residential total tax rate. Expenses approximately 7.4% increase from the 2022 budget. Salaries adjusted for the CPI, collective agreement and benefit increases. Mandatory levies overall stable. And the capital project total spending will be $1,844. On that, general will be $79,000. For fire department, $3,500. Capital works miscellaneous, $44,500. Road and bridges around $212. $212 and $228. Public works fleet, $278,895. And facility is $10,000. Recreation is 4,000. And others is $269,659. That include nursing station expansion of $156,651. And property purchase is $113,000. Reserve projected for 2022 year end, reserve balance approximately 1.411 million. And 2022-23 contribution to the reserve of $398,374, which is 2022 was $533,882. Net on the debt, net debt annual repayment limit will be $611,202. New debt proposed in 2023 for the 2022 capital projects is municipal facility renovation, $155,192, and an interest rate of $5,884.36, with a debenture amortization for 10 to 15 years approximately. The two Fairley Road Highway Road project, the principal balance will $25,574. The interest will be $969.68. For the Canning Road will be around, principal amount will be $7,968.26, with the interest amount of $302. The total interest will be $7,156.17. As of now, the 2022 audit has been completed and the auditor has reported a general surplus of $10,940. I have attached 2022 sample residential taxes for references with nearby municipality. And any questions, discussions? Thank you.
Thank you, Manish. Yeah, questions on the budget from, we'll leave the road grant thing until we're finished all the other questions, and then we'll proceed with that part. So any questions on the budget itself? The next step, by the way, would be for us to pass a resolution tonight. It would then be scheduled to a public meeting in June, which we'd have a full public meeting, and then we would affirm after that the budget for the year and tax people accordingly, et cetera. So anyway, any questions on the budget presentation? And thank you, Manish. Councillor Nash.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Manish, a couple questions. Thank you very much for the report. I liked the format that you done. It made it very easy to follow. So thank you. On page 39 of 125, or page 6 of your report, the one that's the graph, the chart of the sample residential tax rates. When I'm looking at this, it would look like out of about 15 municipalities, we're the third lowest, which I think is great. And what I see there on the left-hand side, it says our bar chart ends between 0.004 and 0.006. If I'm understanding this correct, or for people that might be reading this later, that's based on your assessed value, right? So if your assessed value was $1 million, you'd calculate it by at 0.004 to 0.006. Am I correct on that?
That is a residential municipality tax rate. That's a comparative with other municipality. For example, Whitestone previously had 0.00497351%, and the proposed will be around 0.00650352. That is if you see the two difference.
Yeah.
Municipal tax rate comparative for other municipality and our municipality.
Yeah, but if somebody was looking at this chart and they took that rate of 0.0065 times their assessed value, they'd get the municipality tax amount in simple terms, I think. Am I right?
This doesn't have a education tax, only municipal tax.
Yeah, the
portion.
municipal tax. Okay, perfect. That's what I thought. Thank you, Manish. And then I guess my main question, which I'd inquired about earlier, was at the last meeting, and thank you for putting it in your report on page 1. The proposed loan of a possible loan of $188,000 is back from the year 2022 budget. And you'd outlined the 3 projects: the municipal facility renovation, Farley's Road and Canning Road. That 188,000, I guess I have a couple questions to that. If we were to take out a loan on it, we're saying 15 years, and I'd love to see that number as low as we can, but I know we're only going to take out a loan if it's needed. But I guess my question is it possible that could, and I think you guys know, is it possible that could come out of the reserves from last year? Because I know the reserves last year, we'd proposed in our budget for reserves of last year that we were going to take out of reserves 510,000, and we only ended up taking out 217,000. So instead of, I guess I'm trying to find a way, I know we're well into it, I'm not sure what prompted the 2022 loan not to be completed until now, but is there a way that we can maybe get around having to finance that and see how the year goes or something like that?
As we are closely monitoring our cash flow right now, for the Q2, we are enough. We don't need any loan as of now. But I'm closely monitoring the month of October. If we need any arises, then I have to recommend council. We may need a loan or get a funds for that.
Okay, so if I understand correct, there may be a possibility, only depending on cash flow, that we may not need to do it, but completely depend on how our cash flow is.
Correct.
Perfect. And then the last question to that, and I think this is,
Counselor Nash, just for a second, I see Barb Crivet has her hand up, so she may want to assist in answering your last question. I don't know, or add to it. Barb, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, welcome, Barb.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I thought I would just jump in for a second since that was, I was on hand while that was happening. Essentially what happened with the items that you've been talking about that were meant to be debenture finance last year, they have actually been more or less included in last year's financing. So you wound up the year with about a $10,000 surplus, which means that those items have actually been paid for out of the 2022 budget. They were financed out of the 2022 budget. There's no need to go to reserves or anything else unless there is a cash flow issue, in which case, as Manish has explained, you would go out and get the debenture so that you could increase your cash flow. But in terms of actually covering the cost, it was actually covered through last year's operating budget. So there's no need to go to reserves or anything else at this point.
okay, thanks, Barb. And I'm not sure if this is Manish for you or Barb or anybody, but the last question to that is, when we're talking about cash flow, if we're taking in money that goes into the reserves, I know this year we're proposing, I think it was 400 grand or so to go into reserves. Do we have a reserve bank account, or is it just our normal bank account with money set aside for it? So do we have like separate, reserve bank account that the money goes in for every year just for reserves and it's held there? Or is it in our general account and we just have a hold on some of the money?
If Manish wants, I can take that one.
Okay.
Reserves are an allocation of cash, of your cash budget, because that's what you're dealing with. It's simply an allocation. The money is actually in your general bank account. It forms the float, if you will, for the operations over the course of the year. That's the float that we earn interest on. Your money goes up and down as the money comes in, and you pay your school boards and your expenses. And then But you have that base float of what your reserve balances are at all times in the general account. If you have reserve funds, Parkland is actually more of a reserve fund by legislation. It has a separate bank account. The Parkland account is a separate bank account.
Perfect. Thank you. That was basically all my questions for tonight, and thanks for the report, Manish.
Thank you.
Other questions of council? Yeah, I have a couple of comments. I think this council's worked very hard in what's obviously a difficult inflationary time. What we're proposing here that'll go to the public meeting is basically a all-in tax increase of 4.97, which is of course under 5%. That takes also into account the education tax. We remain one of the lowest tax rates in the area. It's not come without some pain. We have decided to take some projects that aren't critical and sort of push them down the road a bit because we're very hesitant and reluctant to borrow at 6.5 or 7%, which is the new rate. In the past, when we've had loans, they've been more in the 2 and 3% area. And as the whole world knows, its interest rates have changed substantially. So I guess we're banking that next year at this time that perhaps interest rates are down a bit and we'll be in a better position to move forward with some of these things. So this year, as I understand it, 188,000. We're going to try not to borrow that and hopefully cover it out of our cash flows. But I think Councillor Nash's question to Manish and to Barb was, if we get into September, October, are there reserves that we can use? If we get to October, September and say, oh, we need, we're running out of cash, we need the cash. Are there reserves that we can use as opposed to going out and getting a loan? I think that was his question, and maybe I didn't understand the answer. Are there available? I know we can't use Parkland, but are there other reserves that we can say, well, there's 188,000 over there, we'll apply that versus going out and getting a loan in October? Or is that not kosher?
Through
Barb,
you,
can you answer
yeah.
that?
Yeah,
Please?
I can try and answer that through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. The cash that the base operating bank account that we use generally has a balance at all times floating around the $1 million mark, which is a reflection of your reserves at all times. It tends to go up and down a little bit, but that is your emergency funding for cash purposes right there. And that is the balance that Manish is going to be monitoring for the next 6 months to make sure that it maintains that level. There are no other bank accounts that we can go to. We do have a $1 million line of credit with the bank that the use of that line of credit diminishes over the course of the year by legislation based on the fact that during that time, we're bringing in tax revenues, we're bringing in grant revenues at all those times. We're coming into now what would probably be the high point for the cash flows in the next 4 months. So again, to answer your question, there is no other bank account that we can go to. Our general account should maintain a balance running around $1 million with some fluctuation up and down. That's what Manish is going to be watching to make sure we maintain that balance, because that is actually a reflection of the reserves as the contributions are going in and out over the course of the year. I hope that is understandable.
Okay, thank you. Can someone please explain, I have one more question. On page 32 of 125, it says, the third paragraph down, according to the asset management plan final report dated November 2021, debt capacity analysis. Debt capacity used was estimated to be 9.6% for the year 2023. The actual estimated debt capacity used for 2023 is slightly lower at 9.35% than the forecasted level. Can someone explain that to me? Because I'm not sure I understand it. I'm on page
Through you, Deputy.
32 of 125, or page 2 of 3 in Manisha's report.
Through you, through
Third
you,
paragraph
Deputy Mayor.
down. Yeah, sorry, Manish.
Yes. Through you, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah.
I can answer that. So this is a study done by Asset Management Plan. They recommended our debt ratio should be like for the year 2023 will be around 9.6. That is the recommended by Asset Management Plan study done in 2020 November. It says in the year 2022 should be 9.6, but when we calculate actual, what is our capacity, including the new debt finance will be 9.35. So that is comparatively lower than what is recommended in asset management plan.
And that's a good thing.
Good thing, yeah.
Good, thank you. Okay. Long as it's a good thing. The only, the last comment I'll make, excuse me, is I think both Mayor Comrie and I had a figure of 5.6% on the actual last time we were discussing the budget, and you informed us it was 4.97. I know you've come back at 4.97, so congratulations. I won't argue with you anymore on that, and I apologize for thinking it was 5.6. I'm still not sure how it's 4.97, and I won't ask you to explain it, so, but I'm sure it's right, so thank you. Any other comments on the budget? Okay, thank you. Excuse me. Okay, I need a motion to reconvene into the regular council meeting. That the council of the municipality of Whitestone reconvenes in the regular council meeting at 7:50 p.m. Need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Woods and Councillor Bray will second, and I'll ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Thank you, Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yeah.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Okay, we'll move on to matters arising from the committee of the whole. The first one is 5.1.1, application to purchase the Shore Road Allowance Croucher. Whereas John Jackson Planner Inc. has prepared a report on behalf of the Council of the Municipality of Whitestone regarding the purchase of a Shore Road Allowance and provided a copy of the copy to the Municipality of Whitestone. And whereas the Council of the Municipality of Whitestone receives the report as information, and whereas an application has been submitted by Scott Croucher, Martha Croucher, Holly Cornell, and Laura Landry for the closing and acquisition of the Shore Road Allowance fronting lot 39, concession 14 in the geographic township of Burton. And whereas there is no official plan conflicts, environmental concerns, or planning issues with respect to this application, now therefore let it be resolved that the Council of the Municipality of Whitestone approves in principle the closure and acquisition of the Shore Road Allowance fronting lot 39, concession 14 in the geographic township of Burton, as applied for by Scott Croucher, Martha Croucher, Holly Cornell, and Laura Landry, and subject to number 1, practices, procedures, and fees of the municipality for closing of Shore Road Allowance. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Bray, second. Councillor Nash. Any discussion? Okay, there being none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Thank you, Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Counselor Nash,
No.
Counselor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Okay, we'll move on to 5.1.2, the application to purchase and close the Shore Road allowance. Bus and Hart. Whereas John Jackson Planner Inc. has prepared a report on behalf of the Council of the Municipality of Whitestone regarding the purchase of a Shore Road allowance and provided a copy to the Municipality of Whitestone. And whereas the Council of the Municipality of Whitestone receives the report as information, and whereas an application has been submitted by Michael Busenhart and Nancy Strub Busenhart for the closing and acquisition of the Shore Road allowance fronting lots 24 and 25, concession 9 in the geographic township of Mackenzie. And whereas there are no official plan conflicts, environmental concerns, or planning issues with respect to this application, now therefore let it be resolved that the Council of the Municipality of Whitestone approves in principle the closure and acquisition of the Shore Road allowance fronting lots 24 and 25, concession 9 in the geographic township of Mackenzie, as applied for by Michael Busenhart and Nancy Strub Busenhart, and subject to number 1, the practices, procedures, and fees of the municipality for closing of Shore Road allowance. I need a mover and a seconder. Counselor Woods moves.
I can second that, Counselor. Nash.
Counselor Nash seconds. Any questions or discussion?
I was just gonna.
Yeah,
through you,
Counselor Nash, sorry.
Deputy Mayor. I thought we were thinking that we might defer this one.
Yeah, we did. What is the will of council with respect to this? The reason had to do with what, not the park, was it? What was it? What was the reason we were thinking of deferring it?
I think it was to do with have the owners on either side been contacted.
Yes,
regarding
that's very true. We weren't sure whether the neighbors had been contacted, so as far as I'm concerned, I think we should defer it until we get that answer. And it can come back probably to the next council meeting. I think there also should be a direction that if the neighbors haven't been notified, that they be notified, because that's our practice before it comes back to council.
Yeah, and I think that's part of that, through you, Deputy Mayor, that's part of that preliminary consent that I was speaking to. By giving that, they're saying they've been notified and saying they're okay with the proposed lot lines.
Okay, so I guess the question is, well, I guess I can just put the question for deferral to council. Again, I guess we'll have to have a recorded vote on whether we defer this or not. Deputy or clerk, please.
If I may, we have a motion on the table that's been moved and seconded.
So do I need to get an amendment to defer it? Is that what you're suggesting?
I would suggest that the mover and seconder could agree to withdraw the motion, and then we have a new motion to defer this item.
Okay. The mover and seconder in agreement to remove their motion?
That's fine for me to remove.
Yes, and Councillor Woods nodding, so that's done.
So the motion is withdrawn, so we
Okay, we need a motion to defer this item. Who wants to make that motion? Councillor Wood, seconder. Councillor Nash. Any discussion on the deferral? If not, I'll ask the clerk to call the question, please.
one moment, I'm just writing this out, so we have a written motion. So that the council of the municipality does hereby defer item 5.1.2 be deferred in order to confirm that adjacent property owners have had an opportunity to comment on this item. Thank you, Councillor Bray.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, we need a mover and a seconder.
We had one, I think, Councillor Woods and Councillor Nash, second.
Woods, Nash, thank you. Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes,
Thank you. That motion carries.
thank you. 5.1.3, which is Sago Perry Sound, whereas John Jackson Planner Inc. has prepared a report for the Perry Sound Area Planning Board regarding consent application V10/2023 in brackets W, end of brackets, as applied for by Sago Perry Sound for the creation of a right-of-way and provided a copy to the municipality of Whitestone. And whereas the council of the municipality of Whitestone receives this report as information, and whereas new information has been brought to the attention of the council of the municipality and reference to James McKean is now hereby removed from the consent application B10/2023 in brackets W, end of brackets. Now therefore be it resolved that the council of the municipality of Whitestone recommends that the consent application for approval in principle for Pasago, Perry Sound, and Jeff Fisher only. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Woods makes the motion. Councillor Bray seconds it. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the question, please.
Thank you, Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Okay, we'll now get into a discussion on the 2023 budget discussion, and the first motion has to do with the annual road grant. So I think Councillor Nash, you were going to leave, and then we'll call you back for the second motion, I guess.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, budget discussions, 5.1.4A, annual road grant funding per bylaw 30-217. Whereas bylaw 30-217 being a bylaw to adopt a protocol for the authorizing of annual grants for the purpose of assisting road maintenance costs to property owners on private and unassumed roads, provides that the grant to be provided shall be determined by the council during the yearly budget process based on the calculation of the X factor and the Y factor, where the X factor represents the dollars per kilometer and the Y factor represents dollars per household. Therefore, let it be resolved that both the X and Y factors be increased by 3% for 2023 and shall be $370.23 and $56.27 respectively. And that the total available funds for the 2023 operating budgets for road grants be increased by a further 3% to allow for an increase in participation for a total budget of $94,062.71. I need a mover and a seconder for this, please. Councillor Woods moves it. Seconder. Anyone else want to second it? Well, Councillor Bray will second it. Thank you. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll have, sorry, Councillor Bray, sorry.
Sorry about that, Deputy Mayor. I guess I didn't realize at the beginning how this was all, working, and I thought that we went with the amount for the overall, that was in the budget, the 87, I think was in the 2022, and then added the percentage on top of that. I didn't realize we went back and did separate increases for X and Y, because that actually comes out to be over 5% increase on the whole amount of money. I just wanted to bring that forward because that's a fair amount of money that is being added into that. Thank you.
Is that the resultant figure?
Through you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, Manish, sorry.
Yes, the thing is that the X factor is, we consider kilometer is 138 kilometer. And the Y factor is 713 hours old. If you multiply that, so it is like a total will be around 6% increase, so 3% on X and Y factor, then the on top 3% for the additional road application. So
But-
actually,
but I-
we are paying only 91,000, but if new applicants come, there's a 2,700 buffer amount has been kept aside.
But I think what Councillor Bray is saying, that by increasing the X and Y factor by 3% each, that the actual increase for that alone is 5%. I think is what you're trying to say, isn't it?
Well, the actual amount from what was in the budget, which was around 87, I can't remember exactly, 87 and change in the 2022 budget. And then we are going up to 94,000 in the 2023 budget. Now, I understood that, yes, there would be money in there for increases, but I thought that was part of the increase that we were doing. It does work out that the total increase of the money from 2022 to 2023 is over 5. It's under 6%, but it's over 5%. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I had that amount, but I seem to can't find it right now. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, what had been discussed, as I understood it, during the budget process was that we would increase the amount. For in other words, if you got, I think I've used this example before, if you got $100 for your road last year, you would get $103 for this year, which is a 3% increase. But in terms of the total fund, because there are more roads every year that come into the program that haven't participated, and they have every right to be part of the program if they're mentioned in it. And in fact, Manish had said that there was one application that was $2,500 last year that would have been approved, but they were late in bringing their application in. So you can rest assured that that $2,500 application is coming forward this year. They won't be late. So the second 3% is just for new additions, which has happened every year. And so that's the way I understand the program. I don't know whether that clears it up or not. Okay. Any other questions on this? I'll ask the clerk to call the questions, please.
Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes. Perhaps we can ask
Thank you. That
Councillor
motion
Nash to
carries.
come back in. We have on Zoom. We have on Zoom. 14, 16, I think. Just for everyone's information, we have 16 people on Zoom, so. Welcome back. Okay, we'll move to 5.1.4B. Draft budget that the council of the municipality of Whitestone received the memo. Draft operating capital / special projects budget for the year 2023, prepared by Treasurer Manish Kulal. And that no further adjustments be made to the draft 2023 operating and capital / special projects budget as presented. And that the 2023 municipal tax rate increase be set at 6.5%, resulting in a total inclusive of school board taxes, residential tax rate increase of 4.97% as recommended by the treasurer. And that public notice be provided as per bylaw 77-2007, in brackets being a bylaw to prescribe the form, manner, and times for the provision of public notice, and the brackets, that the council of the municipality of Whitestone will be giving consideration to a bylaw to adopt the 2023 municipal budget and set the 2023 taxation rates on June the 6th, 2023. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Woods moved. Seconder.
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mayor Comrie. Okay, any further discussion on the budget? Being none, I'll ask the clerk to call the question, please.
Thank you. Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Abstain.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Okay, we're now going to move into a public meeting. Just let me get to the right section here. This is on the Ted Greenwood proposed rezoning amendment. So we're now into a public meeting, and I'll call to order this public meeting. And
Deputy Mayor, we need to adjourn to the public meeting.
oh, I'm sorry.
We could have
Okay.
a motion.
I need a motion to adjourn to a public meeting. Counselor Woods, second by Counselor Bray. I'll ask the clerk to call the question unless there's any discussion.
Thank you. Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're in a public meeting.
Okay, so I'll call the public meeting to order. As we normally do, I will introduce council and staff. To my left is Counselor Woods and Counselor Bray. To my right is Counselor Nash. On Zoom is Mayor Comrie. Our CAO clerk, Michelle Henry, is here. Our fire chief, Bob Whitman, is here. Paula Macri, our planning assistant, is here. Manish Kulal is here. Our treasurer, Barb Cribbett, I don't know whether she's still on the line, but she works in finance, is here. I think David Creaser was here. I don't know whether he's still on the line or not. David, are you there? Yes, he is. I see him. So David is here. I think that's John Jackson. Yes, John Jackson's still here. He's our planner. So I think I've got everyone. Okay, the chairperson, who is me. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof with respect to the public meeting? Hearing none, that'd be so noted. The meeting protocol, that I would ask that all comments be addressed through myself, and that the person making the comments shall state their name before speaking. Because it's a public meeting, I think we encapsulate all the people who are on Zoom who are here, in case you wanted to make comments or do things afterwards, appeal it or anything like that. So anyway, so this discussion is on Ted Greenwood, the proposed zoning bylaw amendment to rezone part of lot 44, concession A, geographic township of Hagerman, being part 1, 42R-18,020, now in the municipality of Whitestone, in brackets 1686 Highway 124 Dunchurch, end of brackets, from the rural RU zone to the industrial, in brackets, M1 zone. I would ask the clerk, are there any letters or related correspondence have been received?
None received, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Is the applicant, Mr. Greenwood, on the line, or if he is, does he want to say anything? Hearing none, I assume he's not there. Are there any comments or questions from the public, or John, do you want to say anything on this? John Jackson?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Council. This has got a funny history, and I think we all know it quite well, where it was a industrial use that never really seemed to have a proper industrial zoning. So in a sense, this is kind of a technical correction to align the zoning with what was historically sawmill use. And it had all of the sort of the drama of, why did it end up that way? And it's quite a story, but in real terms, it's got very little impact in terms of any planning sense. So unless there's a question, I think it's just a matter of getting it in line with how the owner and council feels it should proceed.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from anyone else? Okay, I'll need a motion, I think, to adjourn from the public meeting. Councillor Woods, seconder. Councillor Nash, are there any discussion? If not, I'll ask the clerk to call the question, please.
Thank you, Councillor Bray.
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion is carried. We are back in regular council meeting.
Okay, we have to, I guess, reconvene into regular council meeting, that the council of the municipality of Whitestone reconvenes in the no, do we have to do? that?
We just did that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I thought we just adjourned over the public meeting.
Well, you adjourned the meeting
And
and then we moved into, I guess I could have read that for you, but I
Okay, that's fine.
understood that was your intent.
Okay, we'll move on to item 7, which is the consent agenda. That's correct. There's no matters arising from the public meeting? No, okay. The consent agenda, I need a mover and seconder for the following, whereas the council of the municipality of Whitestone has received the consent agenda consisting of 7.1 council and committee meeting minutes, 7.1.1 special council meeting minutes for Monday, May 1st, 2023, 7.1.2 regular council meeting minutes for Tuesday, May the 2nd, 2023, 7.2 unfinished business listed on page 5. Now let it be resolved that the council of the municipality of Whitestone does hereby approve the following: the special council meeting minutes of May 1st, 2023, and the regular council meeting minutes for May 2nd, 2023, and that the council of the municipality of Whitestone receives for information the unfinished business listing contained on the consent agenda dated May 16th, 2023. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Woods moves. Councillor Nash seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to call a roll, please.
Thank you, Counselor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Counselor Nash,
Yes.
Counselor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Okay, okay, I've been asked for a 5-minute break, so it's 8:18. We'll come back at 8:23 or so. Okay, thank you. Hold on, we'll be back shortly. And the next thing is accounts payable. So I need a mover and seconder for the following. Accounts payable, 8.1 accounts payable that the council of the municipality of Whitestone received for information, the accounts payable listing in the amount of $143,279.25 for the period ending May 5th, 2023. I need a mover and a seconder. Counselor Bray, second, Counselor Nash. Discussion or questions?
I had, or through you, Deputy Mayor, I had one very, very simple question.
Yep.
And it doesn't even need to be for this council meeting, but maybe the next one. I'm not questioning any of the dollar values or anything, but under TD visas, page 94, I know there's a whole bunch of things listed. And I'm just wondering if maybe for the next meeting, I know we talked about the internet and I think on the visas, the Starlink, I'm just wondering how much that costs us a month. That was all. So it doesn't need to be answered now. I was just trying to look, seeing if I could see it on here and I couldn't. That was all.
Actually, that's interesting because I had that identified too as my one question. Great minds think alike, or fools seldom differ. What, isn't that what they say? So, yeah, I just read that at the bottom of page 94, it says a whole bunch of TD visa due from library, like $888. I wasn't sure what that is. And then due from library 541, due from library, a whole bunch from the library. And I don't know what that is. I guess January, February, March, April. So are these all internet charges, are they? Or maybe you could just give us a report at some point. Like January's was $888 in total.
Yep, through your Deputy Mayor. So anything from the library, we'd have to speak to Visa, but our treasurer pays the Visa on behalf of the library because the Visa is a Visa account through the municipality, and then the library pays the municipality. So it could be ordering supplies or books or any of the things that
I
the
see.
library
Okay.
may purchase.
But the library doesn't have a Visa card. This is our Visa card. Is it?
Yeah, it's a Visa card through our TD Bank, through the municipal TD Bank that the library CEO uses. So we pay the amount, and then the library pays back the municipality for the
I see, but this
expenses.
could be for their books or their.
Yeah, anything that.
Okay,
that
okay.
may
I
be
just
purchased.
didn't know what that meant. And then there's a whole bunch more, as Counselor Nash says, that go all the way down to admin. Well, some of them are memberships and computer supplies and whatever, but certainly the big ones sometimes maybe need a little explanation. But anyway, okay. Any other questions? Okay, I'll ask the clerk to call the question, please.
Thank you, Counselor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Counselor Nash,
Yes.
Counselor Woods,
Yes.
Counselor Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Okay, we'll go on to section 9, staff reports. The first one is 9.1. Cemetery grass cutting contract award. Report PW 2023-07. Is that David going to speak to this or, yeah, David, you can take it away, please.
Thank you very much. Through you, Deputy Mayor. David Creaser, Manager of Public Works. This report is for the annual cemetery grass cutting, and this is a 3-year tender. So it'll cover services for 3 years. And we received a single bid, and that's from Jim Anderson Contracting. He has experience with cutting our cemeteries with the previous contractor. And the year-over-year cost for a round of grass cutting has decreased about 16%. And that's about it. Thank you.
So David, who determines when it needs to be cut? Do we or they?
We do. The cemetery board provides assistance with that. And they generally ask for a cut.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I need a motion on this, and then I guess if there's any questions, we can take it. 9.1, report PW-2023-07, cemetery grass cutting contract award, that the council of the municipality of Whitestone does hereby receive report PW 2023-07 bracket tender award for cemetery grass cutting and trimming tender, end of bracket, for information, and that the municipality of Whitestone does hereby provide pre-budget approval and award a 3-year contract for cemetery grass cutting and trimming at Fairholme, Maple Island, and Whitestone cemeteries to Jim Anderson Contracting Limited as follows. Year 2023, costs per cut excluding HST, $1,040. 2024, $1,091.99. 2025, $1,146.58. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Woods moves. Councillor Nash seconds. Any discussion?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I have
Yep.
a couple really quick questions.
Yep.
I guess we only got one tender. It's more of a statement than anything. And I find it amazing that the price had actually gone down since the previous year, which you don't see too much right now. So I think that's great. And I just wanted to make sure, is 6 cuts, I guess you'd alluded to it a little bit, but my question really is 6 cuts enough for our cemeteries? And maybe when this contract is up, maybe could that be looked at if there's any more grass cutting? I know in the past I've heard that sometimes there's been some inquiries as to why the grass is so long sometimes. So it's really just going forward, if it turns out that we needed 8 cuts this year, is there a way that can happen? Is this strictly just based on per cut only and we're estimating 6 cuts?
David?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, that's correct. Generally speaking, we have three cemeteries. Of the 3 cemeteries, not all are equal in production of grass for the purpose of cutting. So you may have Maple Island need more cuts than Fairholme or Whitestone, simply because of, well, it could be, I know those 2 have a lot of sand in them. They don't retain the moisture as much. That has a lot to do with it. So it depends on the year. If it's a dry year, you can get away with less. If we need more, we need more. And this is only an estimate based on previous years of cutting. It's we worked with the cemetery board, and it's our estimate based on an average year. So we could get away, as last year was a dry year, we needed less cuts. This year, it could be a wet year. We can only base it on an average year cutting that typically will get us by. So this if we get 5 on the Whitestone and Fairholm, but we maybe need 7 at Maple Island, then we're able to do that. But we needed to pick a number, and this is based on the previous years of cutting, the years we have been cutting, the information we had. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'll ask the clerk to call the question on this, please.
Thank you, Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Okay, 9.2, report PW 2023-09. Supply, delivery, mix and stockpile winter sand contract award. That the council of the municipality of Whitestone does hereby receive report PW 2023-09 in brackets tender 2023-03 supply, delivery, mix and stockpile winter sand or granite screenings for information, and that the council of the municipality of Whitestone does hereby provide pre-budget approval and award for a 2-year contract for the supply, delivery, mixing and stockpiling of 2,400 tons per year of winter sand to Berman Construction Inc. as follows. Year 2023, 33 cost per year excluding HST, $33,408. 2024, $34,392. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Bray.
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask you to do that, Mayor Comrie. Hadn't seen your hand go up for a while. So, yeah, thank you, Mayor Comrie, seconds. So any discussion on this one? I guess I had a question. Why is it winter sand or is it granite screenings or what? Or I guess, David, I should introduce you to talk about it. I'm sorry.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, thank you. We did receive the two submissions this year. Low submission came from Bruman. They were the contractor last year who provided our winter sand. The tender is put out for either or is acceptable. It could be either sand, which is screened out of the bank, and there's a prescribed requirements for the size of the stone and what it can be. And there's alternatively the same can be accepted for quarried material, so crushed screenings. It has to be washed, and again, the stone size is prescribed as well. So that allows us to take whatever's available. Some areas to the east of us, or sorry, to the west of us, granite screenings are more predominant, and then to the west of us, the bank sand, winter sand, is more predominant. This is Bruman will be bringing it out of, I believe it's the Macker area, so South River area, and they have a nice sharp stone that worked well last year. So we were happy with the stone that we did receive. The price is competitive, and it's for a 2-year contract. Thank you.
So what are the advantages between granite screenings and sand and disadvantages? And why are you saying we're going for the granite? Is that what I hear you saying?
Through your Deputy Mayor, we accept either or. So whatever submissions we receive, we will review. Whatever whatever price is right. Low bidder will rule. Both submissions were for bank sand. There is a difference typically in quarried material. If we get quarried material from the west, it tends to be darker material. So quarried is crushed, and it also sticks into the our snowpack well. It's angular. It's got a sharper edges more angular, so it sticks, less blow off from when the cars go by. When we put it down on the road, you want to stick to the road and not blow off into your snowbanks. So they do provide good coverage and retention. Some of the drawbacks are that they are dark, and whenever you apply a dark substance to our snowpack roads, then the sun will hit it, and when the sun hits it, you create some melt and you create ice. So just by putting a dark substance down, you're creating ice. So then you have to continually stay with it. So years gone by, you would have seen a lot of people doing just hills and corners and a lot less sand, and that would have been great with cold weather, with less moisture. But as you get closer to zero, you get more moisture on the road in between the tire and the surface, and that moisture creates a slippery surface. So if you put water on an ice rink, you can imagine slipping around on it. It's quite slippery, and that's that film of water between you and the ice. The same happens when you're an ice skate. An ice skate, it creates so much pressure on a very, very small edge, a very small surface area that actually creates water in between the blade and the ice, and that allows you to glide. And you don't want that when you're driving a car. And I apologize for the lengthy response. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Councillor Nash.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. Dave, thanks for the report. I just have two questions. I noticed it says that we use about $8,500 of salt a year. I'm just wondering, do all our roads get salt when they're needed, or is only certain ones? And what temperature is salt good until?
Excellent question. Through you, Deputy Mayor. First and foremost, we don't straight salt any of our roads. We call a straight salt would be bare off, so to speak. For the most part, we don't have any of those roads. The bunny trail would be the exception. If we had a surface where we would have wet weather, wet snow coming with a real cold forecast coming in, and you get that buildup of ice, and you wanted a bare surface, we could pre-treat the road, and that would create a bond. It would prevent the bond from freezing right to the road, and it would just peel off. That might be a situation. What we do with the salt is we mix between 2 and 3%, close to 2% in our sand. So as we get the sand stacked, it's mixed at that rate. And that prevents the moisture in the sand from freezing in large clumps, because when it's in large clumps, we can't spread it out in the road effectively. So that just allows it to stay in a fine mixture that can be placed well. The other thing is a little bit of salt, not too much. It will also help it to bond to the surface of the road. If you have too much salt in your mix, with the sun, it creates problems. You get rutting. You'll see rutting happen from, let's say, Highway 124, where it's a bare road, a bare surface road with it salted, and they track that into the road. You're getting that salt coming down the wheel tracks, and then you get, where the cars will work the snowpack and melt right in the wheel track, And any melting that occurs will then cause the water to flow, which will have salt in it, and it will run into that wheel rut. So it will run into the wheel rut. And then you'll see down these roads, if you have too much salt, a lot of rutting and freezing. So, and when the plow goes by, it just rides over top of the highest point, which doesn't do anything for the wheel track that's filled up with snow. So the next car goes by, it blows all that snow, and it looks like you haven't plowed. So you don't want too much salt. If you have beginning of the year, you don't have any snowpack built up on the roads, and we have freezing rain, which is more and more common, we can, with a little bit of salt, we can mix that up into our sand. It's called pickling it up. And then we can pre-place that prior to an event when we know the road's going to ice over from freezing rain, or there's could be a variety of things that would cause the road to freeze, ice over, and we can pre-treat with a pickled up mix, which should helps the road resist freezing. It makes it safer for traveling. So
Okay,
you.
thank you, David.
And so,
If there's no other questions, I'll call the question. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, or sorry,
Oh,
Deputy Mayor, I had one other really quick question, David. It can be a really, really quick response. The new water tank we're having, would it be possible if we ever needed to do a brine mix with it?
Quick answer is yes. And
Okay,
your
perfect.
other, to answer your other question is about -12 on NaCl, which is sodium, which is salt, like table salt. NaCl is what we use. It's cheap. Calcium chloride can get up to like about a -18 or -19 before it freezes. Thank you.
Thank you.
okay, I'll ask the clerk to call the question, please.
Thank you. Excuse me, Counselor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Counselor Nash,
Yes.
Counselor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Okay, 9.3, report PW 2023 10. Application of slurry seal contract award. That the council of the municipality of Whitestone does hereby receive report PW 2023 10. Bracket tender 2023 07 slurry seal and double surface treatment for the Bunny Trail. And that the council of the municipality of Whitestone does hereby provide pre-budget approval and award tender 2023 07 slurry seal and double surface treatment for the Bunny Trail to Duncor Enterprises, Inc. in the amount of $171,948.80 plus HST. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Counselor Woods moves,
I can
seconder.
second that.
Counselor Nash seconds. David, you want to tell us a little bit about this? Where it's going down, the slurry seal, right?
It's
all
through
on
you.
on what section of the Bunny Trail, for instance?
Yeah, through you, Deputy Mayor. This will pick up from where we left off. This will be on our south end. So it will be short of our boundary by about 2.8 kilometers. So there'll be 2.8 kilometers remaining. In that portion, the 4 kilometer portion, or not the 4 kilometer portion, but the slurry seal will seal up the 4 kilometer portion of the Bunny Trail, which will protect the road for future for the future, which will protect our asset. There is about a 600 meter section, at least a 600 meter section, which is broken up beyond sealing. So it needs to be pulverized or taken up, and we're going to treat it with a little bit of gravel and shape it and double surface treatment. So it's a repair patch about 600 meters long, and the funds for this budget is less the amount of money needed for gravel to complete that repair. So that's why you'll see there's a difference between the draft budget amount and the award of the contract, and that allows us for pulverizing and repairing that 600 meter section.
Okay, any questions, Counselor Nash?
Thank you, David. Thank you for the report. I have a few questions. So I guess I'll just start with a couple, which I think just really quickly. I noticed on page
Speak into the mic a little.
2 of your report, you've just mentioned there's 4,000 meters or 4 kilometers of slurry seal. And in the covering page 1, it notes 6.8 kilometers. So I just wanted to see, is it the 6.8 kilometers or is it the 4 kilometers? I believe it's 4 kilometers. Am I correct?
You are correct. Through you, Deputy Mayor. This tender was let out prior to budget discussions, and after our budget discussions and we have a draft budget, this project was scaled down to accommodate the budget. This allows us to look at completing the remaining 2.8 kilometers next year, to be proposed for a draft budget. And then that will complete the cycle for the bunny trail.
Perfect. That's where earlier you'd said 2.8 kilometers, so it makes total sense now. I guess my question, and for the 4 kilometers, do you know roughly where it would start and where it would end? I know you're saying it would end about 3 kilometers before the Welcome to Whitestone sign. Where would that put us at the north end? Like, would that put us at the railway tracks or close to the railway tracks? Do you know roughly?
It's after the railroad tracks. It would be south of the railroad tracks. We pick up where we finished off last year. There's a line there, a slurry seal line, which we'll pick up, and so that's roughly the halfway point, close to it on our section. So,
and I guess now the more important question I was going to ask is, I know I drive that every time I come up, pretty much. I drive up and down it, and I know there's one area which is probably exactly where you're saying that. I think there's a number of potholes and a split in the road going sideways or something. But I know the slurry seal, I know MTO used to do it every 5 years. Now they've turned to 7 to 8 years, even to 10 in some cases. I think they said the next time they were going to do the 520 was 10 years after they'd done the last one. But do you know the last time, the area that we're recoding now, do you know the last time that was slurry sealed? How many years ago? Even if you're off by a year, it doesn't matter. Just, I don't know if you have an approximate time.
I do apologize. I don't have that in front of me. I'll have to get that information and get back to you on that.
Okay. And the reason I was asking is when I drive, and I know the first section, I'll call it the section closest to the Whitestone sign, I would say has the most potholes in it for a bit. And I know there's some ongoing logging operations. I think there's 2 or 3 ongoing logging operations that are still ongoing now. And before we award, or at least I wouldn't be in support of this if I know there's still ongoing logging operations until I know they're done, because they're just going to beat the road up again. And when I drive the road, that's why I was trying to find out exactly where this is going to be done. And I think it's after the railway tracks if you're traveling south, just past the straightaway. And I look at a lot of that and say, it's not beat up that bad compared to the municipality to the south of us, except for the very beginning of Whitestone. And I sit here and look at this and say it's $200,000, give or take. I'm rounding some big numbers, 171,000. And I'm the first one to admit we need to invest a lot of money in our roads. But if we don't have a lot of potholes in certain areas over that 4 kilometers, can we use this money on other areas? Maybe just gravel and stuff on other roads. Maybe it's Clear Lake Road or Balsam Road, could be anywhere. And is the reason we're doing that portion of the bunny trail just to say we're finished the bunny trail? Or is it because we have to do it because the road is falling apart? When I drive it, I don't see a lot of potholes in a lot of the areas. That's why I'm asking.
David, do you have a response?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. If I put it in this, maybe hopefully this will. Our assets, the municipality's assets, the bunny trail is a large asset as well as a liability. If it were to get into a situation that it's in full need of replacement, then the cost would be 4 times what we're talking about today. So to prevent us from getting in that situation and keeping the road as you indicated, Councillor Nash, good, and if that's what we'd like to do, keep it good for the cheapest possible dollar amount that we could operationally, then we go ahead and seal it and protect it. If we want to take that money away and leave it till it gets poor, then we're talking 4 times the dollar amount. It's that simple. If we want to look at taking the money and transferring it to a low volume road that gets low volume and it's a low speed road with low risk, of injury because you have low speed, low volume, the risk is low, then you would put it to Clear Lake. If you want to protect your assets, such as your large assets, then you would seal it. Now, the Bunny Trail has some of the highest speeds and largest volume in our municipality. So if we talk about speed and volume, the safety factor is relative to that. So to protect our traveling public and to protect our assets, then we need to go ahead and seal this. It makes sense when you look at it from a business perspective and a safety perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And do you know if they're done the logging? Because if we're gonna protect our investments, I want to make sure that they're not logging the road when we're doing this, or logging next winter if possible. Has that been looked into?
I have, through you, Deputy Mayor, from my understanding is they are continuing to log, and I don't know if they'll ever be, is provided there's trees and there's people to buy the trees. We have 80% Crown property and they're going to be on our roads. They will be, and we can't stop doing work. We just can't. And if we put it off and let this get beat up and let those cracks open up, you get the moisture underneath, the water underneath it, and it freezes and it starts to push up the pavement, and you have a crack in the middle. And then when the water drains away, you have a void, and now you've got your surface, your pavement that's elevated with a void underneath with the water that froze. And now the next traffic goes, or a big truck or a small truck, car, whatever, then breaks that pavement, and now you got potholes, and then now you got more moisture, and the process just starts to break. And now we're into 4 times the cost, ripping it all up, putting gravel down, reshaping it, and putting double surface treatment, then slurry seal. It's costly. So we can't stop working just because there's logging operations. There will always be logging operations as long as we have demand and the availability for contractors to do it. We have received years of funding for the Northern Ontario Resource Development grants. Our resource development is logging, so we are receiving funds to help us with our roads, to promote logging in our area. Hope that helps. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, are there other comments? I have a couple. We have an asset management plan and a 5-year roads program that I assume this road is come up on that program, right? And that's, we're following kind of the plan. Is that correct, David?
Yes,
We haven't advanced it from 7 years out to this year, have we, or anything like that? Have we, or have we?
We are following it as best we can and updating it as resources allow. We have been pretty good at maintaining that, and I got to thank council for that, for providing the funds for us to do so. That is part of the plan. This is the right thing to do, to follow the plan, and as resources allow, we should continue to do so.
I guess my comment from being on council is, I think particularly the last 5 years, that we've done a pretty good job of investing in our infrastructure in our municipality. And I'm personally proud of it, as I'm sure Mayor Comrie and Councillor Woods is, of what we've achieved. We've cut an awful lot out of the budget this year, and I think it's the prudent thing to do, but we can't delay and get rid of everything, or it's just going to pile up in next year or the year after. So I think it's, and I'm not a technical person, but I think it's a thing to do. I also look at where we have done slurry seal in our municipality, And I drive it every time I go home is down Balsam Road, the first part, and all the way down Canning. And I'm telling you, it is just amazing if you drive those roads, the condition that they're in, and you can just feel that they're gonna last far, far longer than before they were slurry sealed. And I went on the weekend on a bit of a tour, including going over down Whitestone Lake Road. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think that first portion up to the resort was slurry sealed. And it looks fantastic if you haven't gone down there. So I'm all for slurry sealing. I hear what Councilor Nash is saying about you don't want to do it and have it all ripped up, but you know, we need to invest. Maybe what you do need to do is maybe have a quick test of those people that are doing the logging. Maybe if they're done in the end of July, we could do this in August or something, right? I don't know. Maybe it's worth at least a telephone call, but I think slurry sealing is in my non-technical mind is the way to go in our municipality, because I do think it extends the life of the road. I mean, it's practically like pavement when you go down there, you know, you can hardly tell the difference. Anyway, those are my comments. Any other comments on this? Councillor Woods?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I had the one, but I think maybe David answered it. I was just wondering, do we charge any of these contractors like a damage deposit to the road? Because they have really beat up that road this year with the amount of logging that they've been.
We
I
do
mean,
have a
they've gone
road
north and south, right?
Yeah, we do have a roads damage thing for people doing construction. I'm not Madam Clerk, does that apply to logging or not?
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, no, the damage deposit protocol we have is for issuing of building permits. The use of the road, we have no way of administering a damage deposit. If somebody is utilizing the road and they're utilizing it properly with the proper weights and proper axle weights, there's no way to apply a damage deposit.
Okay, thank you. Anything
Mr.
else?
Chair,
Yes.
I wasn't planning to comment on this, but since the subject of damage by logging has come up, there has been a suggestion from several municipalities to the Ministry of Natural Resources that they should give up some portion of the stumpage fees that they collect for logging on Crown land to the municipalities over whose roads the loggers are going, because they do in fact, the log trucks do in fact do damage to the roads. No response so far to this suggestion, but I just thought I'd mention it because it's an issue that has come up in other jurisdictions.
Good point. Keep pressing them. Persistence sometimes pays off, eh? So. Okay, any other comments on this? Okay, I'll ask the clerk to call the question on it, please.
Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
No.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Okay. The next item is relocation of the community information sign. I don't see a motion on this. Oh. Yes, there is. Sorry. I need a mover and seconder for the following: relocation of the community information sign. This is the sign that sits out near the Grange here, with all the different service clubs and organizations in the municipality on it. That the Council of the Municipality of Whitestone does hereby receive report PW 2023-011 in brackets relocation of community information sign, end of brackets, And that notwithstanding bylaw 2020 or 2022-20007, being a bylaw to control the erection of signs in the municipality of Whitestone, the council of the municipality of Whitestone hereby provides approval for the relocation of the Whitestone McKellar Lions Club Community Information Sign to York Street between Highway 124 and 52 York Street landfill site to be located on the municipal road allowance. And that the ownership, including repair and maintenance of the community information sign, shall remain the responsibility of the Whitestone McKellar Lions Club. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Woods moves, seconder, Councillor Bray. Discussion, please.
Mr. Chair,
David, you want to speak to it? Thank you. Sorry.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. I believe it's pretty straightforward. This was in response to a request that was brought forward by the Lions Club. And council had provided direction that staff look into relocating the sign. Working with the Lions Club, this was the requested location, leaving the landfill on York Street, heading north, I believe, that would provide no interference with the MTO Highway 124. You would only be able to see the back of the sign at most, if you could see any of the sign, which would then satisfy the MTO not requiring a permit.
So you've spoken to the Lions Club and they're in agreement with this, right?
This is correct, yes.
Okay, good. I think it's a good idea personally. I don't think we discussed that when this came forward, but anyway, discussion, any other discussion on it? So would it be located at the landfill or somewhere along the road between Highway 124 and York Street, or the landfill site?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, leaving the landfill, we would put it in the northbound lane, where it would be fully visible. And there's a couple of rock outcrops at the high point of York Street that we would have to avoid. There's options for in that whole area where it could be put. But the Lions Club did request that it was put in that general area of York Street and the landfill.
Yes, if it gets close to the landfill site, it gets a little busy up there with other signs. So it'd be nice if it was back a bit so that people can be recognized going in, as you say, on the right side, I guess, as you're going to the landfill site. So, okay, thank you. Any other discussion?
I had a question and maybe a comment, Mr. Chair. I guess my question is, our welcome to Whitestone signs that we have on Highway 24, do we pay the MTO for permits for those?
I
Do I
can
know?
never remember us paying it.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, not that I'm aware of.
I don't think so. I've never seen a bill or ever questioned it in my 15 years, so.
So where I'm going with this, maybe you can guess already. It seems to me that like in communities that I've driven through over the years, these signs are typically located underneath or part of those welcome to whatever the community is signs. And you know, I understand that sort of what's driving this whole thing is the concern that the Lions Club was expected to pay an increased amount. It's, if I recall correctly, something like $700 and for the permit to put the sign there, which I agree is unreasonable. But I'm wondering, if we couldn't put the sign, in fact, as with our Welcome to Whitestone sign, and in a sense, that if we were going to do that, it would probably make sense to have two of them, one on each, in each direction. But I guess I'm not sure. I mean, if we could have them there, I still think that would be a better location where people would see the sign coming into the community. And I mean, I certainly appreciate the fact that the Lions Club has, went to the trouble of creating this. And it's certainly better than having a whole bunch of little individual signs scattered in various places. But I'm wondering. Part of me wonders, to be honest, why they're stuck with paying for and maintaining that sign. So anyway, those are my comments.
Okay, thank you. Right now, I guess, I don't think where it is right now is very visible, quite frankly. I think each plaque is very small. It's sort of stuck beside the Grange, and I don't think a lot of people even know it's there, quite frankly. So I do know this, everyone goes to the landfill site, at least to York Street at some point, and the ones that go to Alls wouldn't see that sign where it is now anyway, because it's in Dunchurch, right? So they'd be heading up the Bunny Trail most of the time. So I mean, I don't know. I guess if we worked with the Lions, they're the ones that did this project, collected the money for it, have tended to it, and if they want it there, I don't know. Have we even checked? I guess the question is, I think if we put a sign, a separate sign out near our sign, I'm afraid we'll end up paying for it, because they'll say it's a separate sign. If we try to affix these little individual little plaques around the sign, that may get difficult too and busy. So I don't know whether there's an easy answer to it, Mr. Mayor, really. I don't disagree that I guess in an ideal world, you'd have them out on both ends of the highway, and maybe even more prominent than the one we have. But if that's going to cost us $2 or $3 grand a year to do that, it's all tax money, right? So anyway, any thoughts on council? Councillor Bray?
Yeah, I agree that it would be nice to be able to keep it on 124 to be able, so that it's seen by people coming through our community. It's not just even for the people who live here, but the people who come through it, knowing that our community is vibrant and has organizations and things like that. I think though, if we put it up by the sign coming into Whitestone, I'd be a little worried that they will be so far away that we wouldn't see them and people wouldn't be able to recognize and read them. So it may be that York Street is not the best in terms of representing our community, but it may be the one way that more people will actually see the signs and know, like even the cottagers and people who are here just for a short time might be able to understand sort of that our community has a lot going on for it. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, well, we test this question. I'll call the question.
Thank you, Councillor Bray.
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, 9.5, staff memorandum on CBO, that's Chief Building Officer, shared services with the Township of McKellar. That the Council for the Municipality of Whitestone agrees to continue the current arrangement of shared Chief Building Official bracketed CBO services with the Township of McKellar. and that the municipality of Whitestone will invoice the township of McKellar, and the township of McKellar will invoice the municipality of Whitestone for services provided. The rate of pay will be the CBO's usual rate of pay at the time of the services provided. And that travel will be reimbursed at the current rate per kilometer for the municipality and township, and that mileage is tracked and paid from the point that the building inspector leaves the main office and returns once the inspection is complete. And that all efforts will be made to ensure advance notice of the need for CBO services. However, it is understood that advance notice, bracket, and in some cases availability, end of bracket, may not always be possible in the case of an emergency and short notice. And therefore be it resolved that either party may terminate this arrangement with 30 days written notice. So I need a mover and seconder. Councillor Woods moves. Councillor Nash seconds. Any discussion? This is something that's gone on for years, and for the best of my knowledge, works out pretty well, I think. Madam CEO, yes. Okay,
Through you,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor, I just had a really quick question. I noticed when I was reading this that it said that we'd prepared a draft agreement. And I was just wondering why McKellar wouldn't have wanted to enter into an agreement and instead just wanted to do a little resolution if we'd taken all the time to do that agreement. It seems like something very simple that the other municipality would have wanted to sign. So I'm a little perplexed as to why they didn't want to sign that.
Madam CEO.
Yes, thank you through you, Deputy Mayor. I like the word perplexed as we are. There's been a resolution, a very simple resolution, certainly not as elaborate as this, for many, many years. And McKellar just simply didn't want to enter into an agreement. So we appreciate the shared services, the two CBOs get along. I don't think it was worth, wasn't a hill to die on, as they say. So I think this resolution covers everything. They have their own resolution of council, which is somewhat similar. And the relationship works and it will continue to work. So that's about all I can say about that.
Thank you. I'll have you call the question, I guess, on this.
Thank you, Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Okay, number 10, bylaws, 10.1. Bylaw number 34-2023 being a bylaw for the zoning bylaw amendment to rezone part of lot 44, concession A, geographic township of Hagerman, being part 1, 42R-18,020, now in the municipality of Whitestone, in brackets 1686 Highway 124, Dunchurch, end of brackets, from rural RU, end of brackets, zone to an industrial bracket M1, end of bracket, zone dash Greenwood. That the bylaw number 33 or 34/2023 being a bylaw for the rezoning or for zoning bylaw amendment to rezone part of lot 44, concession A, geographic township of Hagerman, being part 1,42R-18,020, now in the municipality of Whitestone, in brackets 1686 Highway 124, Dunchurch, end of brackets, from the rural RU zone to the industrial M1 zone dash Greenwood, be read a first and second time the 16th day of May 2023, and further read a third time, passed and properly signed and sealed this 16th day of May 2023 and numbered 34-2023. I need a mover and seconder. Councillor Woods moves, seconded by Councillor Bray. Any further discussion? Okay, I'll have the clerk call the question.
Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes,
That motion carries.
thank you. 10.2 bylaw number 35-2023 being a bylaw to repeal bylaw 33-2017 in brackets being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Daniel Salvatore, James Enslin, Brent Kaufman, and Ryan O'Hara to use a section of an unopened road allowance. That bylaw number 35-2023 being a bylaw to repeal bylaw 33-2017 in brackets being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Daniel Salvatore, James Enslin, Brent Kaufman, and Ryan O'Hara to use a section of the unopened road allowance and the bracket be read a first and second time this 16th day of May 2023, and further read a third time, passed and properly signed and sealed the 16th day of May 2023 and numbered 35-2023. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Woods moves. Councillor Nash seconds. Any discussion? I'll ask the clerk. Oh, sorry. Councillor Nash.
have one really quick question.
All your questions are
I
really
know,
quick questions.
They
You
are.
ever realize
Tonight,
that?
they're not bad. Page 113 of 125 I'm looking at. And it's just an excerpt from the bylaw. Maybe I have it. Anyways, the second part of on page 113. It says, and whereas that the Council of Municipality of Whitestone deemed it appropriate to repeal bylaw 33-2017 as there are no further obligations in respect of the construction and maintenance of the unopened road allowance. And I just wanted to make sure, I'm sure that going forward, people will still do a little maintenance on the road, pushing a bit of gravel around or grading the road, and they're still allowed to do that. I'm assuming just like any other private road that crosses road allowances. When I read the word maintenance, it jumped out at me versus the construction.
Do you have any comment? Brent?
Well, I don't disagree that if there's a bit of a pothole that they will probably take care of that, but the idea is to release the responsibilities of the original agreement with the original owners. And it does speak to construction and maintenance, so it makes sense to repeal the bylaw. You're right, if a little bit of maintenance goes on, a little bit of raking, it doesn't change anything.
Thanks.
And it may not even in fact be these owners, because there are other people that utilize that piece of road allowance.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask unless there's anything else, I'll ask the clerk to call the motion, please.
Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb,
Yes.
motion carries.
Item 11, business matters. Mayor's Monarch Pledge. This has gone on for, I'm thinking 4 or 5 years now anyway. 3, okay, so. And I'm trying to think of the gentleman that brought it to my attention first, and then I think to the mayor's, but anyway, it's David West, that's who it was, so anyway. I know when we cut our roadside cutting that we try to avoid the milkweed along the side of the road, and so this has always been a joy to do this pledge every year. So anyway, I'll read it out and I'll ask for a mover and seconder. Mayor's Monarch Pledge. Whereas the monarch butterfly is an iconic North American species whose multi-generational migration and metamorphosis from caterpillar to butterfly has captured the imagination of millions of people. And whereas both the Western and Eastern monarch populations have been significantly declines with less than 1% of the Western monarch population remaining, while the Eastern population has fallen by as much as 90%. And whereas the municipality of Whitestone recognizes that human health ultimately depends on well-functioning ecosystems and biodiverse regions can better support food production, healthy soil and air quality, and can foster healthy connections between humans and wildlife. And whereas cities, towns, and rural areas play a critical role in helping to save the monarch butterfly, and the municipality of Whitestone is eager to participate in the National Wildlife Federation Mayor's Monarch Pledge. And whereas each resident of the municipality of Whitestone can make a difference to the monarch by preserving and planting native and nectar plants to provide habitat for monarch and pollinators. Now, therefore, the municipality of Whitestone does hereby proclaim the Monarch Pledge in the municipality of Whitestone and encourage all residents to participate in the monarch butterfly conservation. Mover and a seconder.
So I didn't write this lengthy motion, Mr. Chair, but I'm happy to move it.
Okay, thank you. And who wants to second it? Councillor Bray will second it. Any discussion on it? Okay, I'll ask the clerk to please call the question. Or poll the vote, I guess it should not ask the questions.
Thank you. Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes.
Motion carries.
11.2 proclamation of the month of June 2023 as Seniors Month. Whereas Seniors Month is an annual national-wide celebration, and whereas seniors have contributed and continue to contribute immensely to the life and vibrancy of the Whitestone community, and whereas seniors continue to serve as leaders, mentors, volunteers, and important and active members of our community, and whereas their contributions past and present warrant appreciation and recognition, and their stories deserve to be told. And whereas the health and well-being of seniors is in the interest of all and further adds to the health and well-being of the community. And whereas the knowledge and experience seniors pass on to us continues to benefit all. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that I, Mayor George Comrie, I don't know whether he does it or I do it, but we'll both do it or whatever, do hereby proclaim June 2023 as Seniors Month in the municipality of Whitestone, and encourage all citizens to recognize and celebrate the accomplishments of our seniors, and that further that the municipality of Whitestone does hereby make a donation in the amount of $500 to the Parry Sound Community Support Services for services and programs in the support of the municipality of Whitestone seniors. The Parry Sounds, I've read the motion. The Parry Sound Community Support Group, I think, is the one that puts on the lunch and learn each month here in the community hall, where seniors from not only Whitestone but other communities participate. So I need a mover and seconder. Councillor Woods, Councillor Bray seconds it. Any discussion? I will only add that we did have our Senior of the Year award that has been awarded, because there are people in the community that know it. And this year's recipients are a dual group of Simon Harris and Dale Caldwell, who have done a great deal of work behind the scenes at the library for years and years. And I'm happy to tell the rest of the community that they're the winners this year. So anyway, having said that, and by the way, the mayor will present them with their award on the Saturday of the Agricultural Fall Fair, I think at about 11 in the morning or so, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, so I'll ask the clerk to, sorry, Councillor Bray, I'm sorry.
Oh, I just wanted that I think it's wonderful that we do so much for seniors, and we also appreciate and celebrate our seniors, because they do an awful lot for the municipality of Whitestone. And also the community support services, they do a lot, even more than just the lunch and learns, because they have transportation for critical appointments, and they have all other kinds of support. So I think it's wonderful that we do this. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, anything else? Not, I'll ask the clerk to call the question, please.
Thank you, Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Number 12, correspondence listed on page 7 of the agenda. Oh, sorry.
I think there's 11.3.
Not yet. Later. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, there, I know you are. Yeah, I'm trying my best. Correspondence listed on page 7 of the agenda. I need a mover and seconder for the following, whereas the council of the municipality of Whitestone has reviewed the correspondence items as listed on page 7 of the May 16th, 2023 council agenda. Now therefore let it be resolved that council receives the correspondence items for information with the following extracted for further discussion. I guess first I should get a mover and seconder. Councillor Nash, Councillor Bray will second. Any that we want to have extracted? Anyone? Okay, they're being, oh, sorry.
Deputy Mayor, this may not be my place to extract correspondence, but I did want to bring it to council attention that both the Legion and the Agricultural Society have an interest in the assets at the Twist Restaurant. And our staff are in the process of actually doing an inventory of what's there. And not only listing what's there, but the condition listing as well. So that may be of interest to council in the future because there is an interest in the community to acquire perhaps some of the kitchen assets.
I guess my comment, if I be so bold as to go first, would say that, you know, kind of duly noted. Council, as part of our strategic plan, will be having a debate on what we're going to do with that whole property. As we will with the property, just, I guess, east of us here. There's 2 properties we've acquired over the last year or so. So we have to have that debate within the municipality before we decide what we're doing with any of our assets. So it's duly noted for when and if we have that discussion, and we will discuss it, I guess, at that time would be my suggestion, unless there's something else that council wants. Okay, thank you. So I'll ask that this question on the correspondence be call the roll, please.
Thank you, Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Mayor Conlon?
Yes.
thank you, Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Councillor Mann,
Yes,
or Mayor, Deputy
Yeah.
Mayor Lamb. Thank you.
whatever. Thank
Great.
you. Okay, next we're getting near the end, ladies and gentlemen. Counselor items, number 13. Counselor Woods.
2 that should be very quick. I was contacted by a few residents out in Maple Island, and they reminded me that they had reminded me months ago, and I brought it up at a meeting. They're asking if any of the sand was going to be placed at the volleyball courts in Maple Island at the Commons, and just some of the work that I thought we had intended on doing. And they brought up again the porta potty that used to be there and was removed, and if there was any way that anything like that was going to happen. So I just wanted to bring that back up again. I don't necessarily need an answer right now. And the next one was we missed 11.3 planning item invoices from Councilor
Oh,
Nash.
I
That's the
apologize.
second one.
I apologize. I'll come back to that. I'm sorry. My mistake, sorry, nothing meant by it. So any other, I have a counselor item. We had our library board meeting last night. We have an excellent library board. Honest to God, it's fantastic. And some of the new people on it are are not seniors and are contributing fantastically. They're doing a great job. So we have, for instance, now a new TAP program at the library so that people coming in just tap if they want to give a donation. And we've already, I think, raised $200 in the first week for just people come. I was the first one to give, but someone else came in who is a seasonal resident who was arriving back in town, and I think had her grandchildren with her, and saw, oh, I can tap, I can donate, and bingo, done, finished, and it was a lot more than I gave. So so that's going to be fabulous for all kinds of events, and one of which I want to speak to. So we're planning things like the Strawberry Social, and on the August 1st long weekend, there's the book sale that's historically held in the community hall. And they're looking very seriously at renting a dunk tank and putting it outside here. So I want to make council and maybe even the fire chief, maybe you can fill it for us, not by your body, but your water, maybe your body too. But anyway, they are really going down this road. So get ready to, if you want, Brian says he's in. I've already committed myself. So anyway, I'm sure there'll be others in the community that will maybe want to offer their roads guy or someone up. I don't know, but anyway, so that's coming up, and that would be August the 5th and the 6th, probably starting about noon, because I know on August the 5th, there are road association meetings, I think including Wawashkesh has theirs on the 5th of, so it might be also the 6th. So because the book sale's 2 days. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of, to be forewarned is whatever they say. So anyway, Councillor Woods.
I think all council members should have to sit in the dunk tank.
Well, it'll be an individual decision, I guess. So, anyway, that's all I had. Any other councillor items? Oh, and then we'll go back to 11.3. Sorry.
I had a couple. I'm not sure, first of all, I don't know if we could get a response, but is David still on the line by chance or not?
I don't see.
No.
One of my questions was simply, I was wondering if we can get an update on how the permit for the radar sign's going. And I was wondering, I think it's still outside of the works yard. And I know just tonight we were talking about how the speeds on the bunny trail are fast and for safety and all of this. And I'm wondering if we're waiting for Highway 124 for a permit, if we could maybe take the speed sign and put it on the bunny trail and tie it to a tree and use that as our first spot for the permit. So that might be my first inquiry, if staff could look into that.
I just have a comment on that because I come down Balsam out to Highway 124 and I hit it every day. And it usually says slow down. But it's not very bright is what I noticed. It like you have to kind of strain to see that it says slow down. So I don't know whether it needs new lights in it or brighter lights or whatever, but I would guess that if you're going to put it out on the bunny trail, not many people would see it, but maybe it's just where it is right now. I don't know. So I would check the lighting as part of that too. Sorry.
No problem. And then a second question or a second comment, sorry, my speaker's down, was just, I know there was an article in the Perry Sound paper about amalgamation being mentioned through Perry Sound. And I just wanted to put on the record that I am not for amalgamation. So I don't know where that story's coming from in Perry Sound, but I just wanted to put it out there. And then the final comment I had, and I'd written something up, but maybe we can have a quick little chat about it, was I believe now we have the new Starlink system over at the library, or is it up and running yet?
I think it is. Eva told me
So-
It is.
Okay, so where I was going with it was simply to say if we have a Starlink at the library, and we have another system at the library, and we have a Starlink at the community center and another system at the community center. And I think a system at the municipal office. I'm just wondering if we might be able to speak to it and maybe give a staff direction to the CAO to work with our IT consultant, Dave Hildebrand, to simply say, if we have redundant systems here, we remove the redundant systems, and if we gotta run the cable or connect the cable through ductwork under the highway that's already there, that we do it, or if we're gonna do a wireless connection, that we do it, if we could maybe just, and if it has to come to another meeting, but just a simple staff direction for staff to undertake doing whatever is needed now that we have all these systems, and if it costs a few $1,000s or whatever it might be, just go ahead and get the work done and see where we go from there.
Well, I think it's fair that the systems be looked at and a report come to council at some point on, what our options are and what we would do and that kind of thing. That,
Yeah,
I think
and-
that's a fair comment.
And as for item 11.3, I know we're getting late in the evening, so we can, I know it's.
Will there be a motion coming out of this or no?
Out of,
11.3?
there could be.
Well,
depending.
let's finish
That's
off.
why I'm saying
Councillor
we
comments.
just do it another day. I
No,
bring
it's
it
okay.
back.
We've
No,
got
no,
time. We've got time.
I know we have another session after this, right? So it's
I
no-
know, but we've got time. It shouldn't take very long. I want to finish the agenda.
Okay.
So. Any other councillor comments? Councillor.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Bray had her hand up first, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, okay, thank you. I did attend the Georgian Bay Biosphere Climate Action Plan meeting last Friday. It was an excellent presentation on the sort of the regional approach to climate action plan. And I think that there are quite a few people who are, or areas and other communities that are interested in the approach that we have taken, in the sense that we are grouped together to be able to work on regional action plans. I think the other thing that I found very interesting is there were quite a few people there with different ideas on solar and mainly solar, but there was also ideas on how you can use there are programs with which we can buy into the solar without having to put any money into it. It's sort of like they use our space. So they use our space, and then we get a certain percentage of the energy at a reduced rate. And so I think that I'm really encouraged that there's lots of ideas out there that we could investigate and look at in terms of making our municipal buildings more energy efficient in that way, and also to cut our greenhouse gases. But it was really interesting, and I appreciated being part of it, to be able to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bray. Mayor Comrie. Mayor Comrie, yep.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to remind people that this coming Sunday, the 21st at 1 o'clock, is the official reopening of the expanded nursing station.
Yes.
To which everybody in the community is invited. So just a reminder.
Yeah, good point. I think it starts at, did you say 1 o'clock, isn't it?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. And I asked yesterday I think of Sheila, what time the presentations were, or the speeches, and I think she said 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So don't think you're coming at 2 and you'll miss it all, I guess, is what I heard. So anyway.
Yeah, that's my understanding. Yes.
Okay, good. And are you speaking on behalf of council, Mayor Comrie? or no?
Yes, I am.
Good for you. I'll just circle back just a bit on what Councillor Nash said about amalgamation. It came up as a story in the newspaper that Jamie McGarvey was going to talk to Graydon Smith about amalgamation. And on one of our Facebook pages in the community, I went on and basically said I'd I'd go to my last breath fighting amalgamation for Whitestone, and I would. We don't need to get into a debate of it today, but it's obvious that Parry Sound has nowhere to grow and have high taxes, and the only way that they can rationalize all the spend they've had over the years is to gobble up other communities. And what would happen in Whitestone? We would have higher taxes and less services. We'd have, just like the pool, 1 vote out of 13 or something, and we'd be overruled on everything. And man, if we had anything to fight, that would be the fight of a lifetime from not only our municipality, but I suspect most of the municipalities in Whitestone. So it's just a bad idea. And I see Taylor Clark on there. You want to tell them it's a bad idea and we don't support it? Got everybody nodding here. Thank you. Okay. Let's go back to 11.3, planning item invoices, a discussion request by Councillor Nash. Councillor Nash.
Yeah, and I'll try and keep this really, really quick and simple. And all it was, I think the planning items are just one aspect of it, but really all I was hoping to discuss and see if there was any, I don't think it's a big thing, and I think it'd be pretty easy, because I think we've seen it in the past now. This has been on a couple meetings, but we've run out of time a couple meetings. So all it was I'm hoping that we might be able to do something like a quarterly report or something like that. And we simply get a quick little quarterly report just to let us know that, here's the, whatever it might be, the 5 planning files we've had, and here's what's been spent on the 5 files. And maybe there'll be something that's not to do with the planning file that we're initiating. Maybe it's a bylaw amendment or whatever, and that's just subcategorized. And all we get is this quick little report that says, I don't know, I'll make something up that, in the last quarter, $50,000 was spent, and 25,000 was on these 5 jobs that are listed, and we spent $10,000 redoing trailer bylaw, whatever it might be. And that's it, nice and simple, nothing more than that.
And that would be a future thing, like for
going-
instance, in July, we'd get one for the end of the second quarter in 2023, right?
Yeah, when I started asking, I was thinking of doing it for last year, but I'm just thinking, just do it for 2023. So maybe the end of June, we get one for January through to June kind of thing, for the first half of the year or something. Maybe. Just something nice and simple. And I think instead of asking questions on expenses, sometimes we just get a nice little printout that says, hey, here's what these files have cost the municipality. That's all.
Madam Clerk, do you have anything on that? No? Okay, duly noted. And I think we've asked for 2 or 3 reports of this nature on legal and some other things. So I think it falls into the same sort of categories. Okay. Thank you. Question period for the public. Anyone have any questions? Ed Can has his hand up. Ed?
Okay, I have one comment first of all. I follow most of the council meetings on Zoom, and I'm not sure what the problem is, but it's very, very hard to hear what is going on. Now, maybe it's because I'm old and getting deaf, but I don't know if that can be fixed, but it is very hard to hear. The second thing is that I have a question, and it was brought up by about the roads program, Roselands program, and Scott Nash recused himself and abstained from voting, I believe. And I understand that's partly because he owns part or all of a road which receives money under the roads grant program. My question to the mayor is, I understand that you own property or own roads or partially own roads within Whitestone, which benefits from the grants program. And I would like to know why you didn't recuse yourself and abstain from voting on it. Thank you.
No. Mayor Comrie, do you have any comment?
Well, I think that I'm debating whether or not to respond to a hostile question like that. But let me simply say my advice from the municipality's integrity commissioner is that I am entitled to speak and vote to both that matter and the budget which contains it. And so, you know, I'm not sure. Councillor Nash, of course, is entitled to do what he wishes with respect to that matter. I don't consider it a conflict of interest, and neither does our integrity commissioner. So
Okay, thank you.
that's
Mr.
all I
Mayor.
have to say.
Yeah, okay, I thank you for your
Any
response.
other questions? Okay, adjourn to a closed meeting. I need a mover and seconder for that the meeting move into a closed session. Oh, you were, okay, you weren't putting your hand up, okay. Move into a closed session at 9:50 PM. 15.1, closed session meeting minutes for the special council meeting of May 1st, 2023. 15.2, labor relations or employee negotiations pursuant to Ontario Municipal Act, Section 239, bracket 2, bracket D, dot collective bargaining update. So I need a mover and seconder for that. Councillor Bray and Councillor Woods seconds it. I'll call the question or have the clerk call the question, please.
Thank you, Councillor Bray.
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb,
Yes.
and that motion carries.
Okay, I see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 people left from the public. We'll be stopping the recording at this point. We'll be coming out of closed at some point between now and over the next half hour or so. And it'll simply be to close the meeting really, but we have no way of knowing exactly when we're coming out. So I don't know how, you know, if any of you, I guess, want to get a hold of Michelle or whatever, and be, the clerk wants to say something.
Yeah,
Sorry.
thank you,
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor. So there's a way to do this. So we will ask those who are not members of council to leave the meeting. But you can immediately come back in and be in the waiting room, and you can wait in the waiting room until such time as we're ready to come into open. As Deputy Mayor Lamb indicated, we don't know the timing on that. I think we expect the meeting to be done before 10:30. Probably sooner. But if you wish to hear the final component of the open session meeting, we ask you to leave and then you can come back in. We'll hold you in the waiting room and I'll let you in when we're ready to go into open session again.
Thank you. So good evening, everyone. We may see you or may not. And we'll now stop the recording. Thank you.
Reserve.
Okay,
So we could just make an announcement, we are now back in open.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. At 10:10. So first thing we need to do is a resolution to extend our curfew by a half hour. So I need someone to move that the council hereby continues its council meeting past the allotted time of 3.5 hours and continue for an additional 1/2 hour. Mover, Councillor Woods, seconder, Councillor Nash. I'll call the question.
And sorry, that was Woods and Nash.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yeah.
That's carried.
In matters arising from the closed session, 15.1, closed session meeting minutes for the special council meeting of May 1st, 2023. That the council of the municipality of Whitestone does hereby approve the closed session meeting minutes for the special county council meeting of May 1st, 2023. A mover and seconder, please. Counselor Bray. Counselor Woods seconds. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Thank you, Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb,
Yes.
motion carries.
Confirmatory bylaw, that bylaw 3623 being a confirmatory bylaw for the council meeting of Tuesday, May 16th, 2023, be given a first, second, and third and final reading and passed as of this date. As of this date, it just says. Mover, please. Counselor Woods.
I'll
Seconder.
second, Mr. Chair.
Counselor or Mayor Comrie. I'll call the question, please.
Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb,
Yes.
motion carries.
Adjournment, whereas the business of this meeting has concluded, now therefore let it be resolved that this meeting be adjourned at 10:13 PM until the regular council meeting of Tuesday, June Tuesday, June the 6th at 4 PM or at the call of the chair. Mover and seconder, Counselor Woods, seconder, Counselor Bray. Call the question.
Thank you, Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie,
Yes.
Councillor Nash.
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lamb.
Yes.
Thank
Okay,
you.
everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Okay, good night, George. We'll see you Saturday.
Good night.
Right.
Okay, bye now.